Hello and good morning. My name is Ronan Vector, here back in your timeline for some more Final Fantasy XIV Online. I'm back early today for once. Feels good. Feels good. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of light housekeeping as far as making our daily societal quests happen. I'm probably going to do some roulettes too, since I've been slacking off on those. And we're going to finish off some Comicstorian Batman No Man's Land. There it is. I knew it was up there. I believe we left off yesterday during the Croc in a Suit arc. I guess he's feeling big about his life. So he's wearing a goofy ass suit. I'd be fascinated to know how, like, that worked out. The person that took his measurements, like, this is happening during, like, a period of anarchy, so he would have had to find a suit guy, make him do it. Just a lot going on there. But don't ask me what's going on in the story. I'm assuming he's just being a dick, and then, you know, good guys gotta take him down because he's got a measure of power. That's my guess. Let's see. Alright, let's get started with a little bit of that. And let's go.
It's gonna take a bit more than an upset tummy to stop me. The car crashes into the barricade.
Some housekeeping.
But as Croc jumps into the fight, a man in a gas mask slowly creeps up on Tim. Tim asks if that's, and Alfred tells him to be quiet. The rescue must be serpentipitous if it's going to be effective. Croc claws his way to the front, making his way towards the Penguin, but when he gets in range, Penguin fires his rifle into Croc's chest. The buckshot rips through Croc's shirt, and he shouts that was Egyptian kind, you bird-brained son of a! This is my turf, Penguin. Where do you want to be buried? Penguin laughs, telling him that better men have tried. Much better men, Croc. But before Croc can tear Penguin apart, Harvey fires his shotgun, tackling into Croc, telling him to stay down. After tying up Croc, Penguin tells everyone that that's it! We have them rooted. Croc rips apart the building, stating, "You're giving me a headache. The suit was silk and wool. Now look at it! You're gonna pay with your blood." But just then, 3 batterings hit Croc in the arm, and Tim launches himself, kicking Croc in the head, telling him that he has to work on his pattern. Tim then cracks him with his staff, jumping onto the nearby car to get away. Croc reaches him, but Tim takes off his utility belt, tying Croc's wrist to the steering wheel before jumping out. Croc lifts the entire car, shouting, "I'll kill you!" But as the car is held up, the axle falls off, landing on Croc's feet. With him subdued, Harvey asks Tim if he's got a place to stay. And Tim says that Batman has a few hangouts left. As Tim runs off to meet with Alfred, Montoya and Harvey state that he is every bit as tough as when he was young. And Harvey asks when he was that kid's age? No way. With everything settling down, Tim tells himself that he would much rather face Croc again than what he's about to do next. But this has to be done. Tim sits down and he calls his father. He tells him that he's in Gotham, with his father shouting, asking if he's crazy and how the hell did he even manage that stunt. Tim says that there's an old service tunnel and some kids dared him, and well, the path out is now blocked, but he's safe. After hanging up the phone, Alfred says that he doesn't envy him, but at the risk of sounding patronizing, perhaps things will look better in the morning. Tim jumps in bed to sleep for the night, but the next morning he's woken up by Batman. Tim hardly has enough time to rub his eyes asking what's going on, and Batman tells him that they have a problem. Tim gets out of bed, getting dressed, asking what's going on. Is it Two-Face? Is it Penguin? And Batman says it's not that kind of problem. Look at the TV, Tim. Every news channel is displayed, and each of them has Tim's father telling the world that his son is trapped in Gotham. Tim's eyes go wide as he realizes what's happening. Oh my God. All around her, Dr. Leslie Tompkins could hear the cries of her patients. Somebody's baby needs help. Somebody is dying. People need food. And as she begins to open up her medical bag, all she can see is, well, nothing. She promised to help them out, but how can she help them with no supplies? As she tries to come up with a solution, the cries for help soon become cries that a monster is coming. A shadowy man parts the crowd as he walks by, telling Leslie that she isn't safe here anymore. Leslie tries to tell the man to leave her alone, but before she could finish her sentence, she wakes up. It was another nightmare.
Am I still too early where it hasn't reset yet?
Night after night. And as Leslie walks out of her trailer, she sees that everything is like it was in her dream. People crying, they're begging for help. The only difference is that the monster in her dreams was further away. Laying on a beach, badly wounded and tied down, is that monster. Victor Zsasz. Zsasz is a pure sociopath, cuts a new mark into his skin every time he murders someone. His body is completely covered in them now. Helping Leslie watch over Zaz is the reformed Black Mask thug Mikey, who himself has his fair share of cuts.
You'll get
But
3
soon a
every
scream can be heard and
12
Leslie
Those are
rushes over to
levy
the other
allowances.
wounded man named Stumpy, named after, well, his missing right hand. These people need blood, but there's a major shortage. So Leslie steps away to try and clear her mind. However, no sooner does she step away to the neutral zone than she hears something skittering in the shadows. She yells to the person to stop sneaking around and just come out already. Killer Croc, also not her monster, appears asking how is Stumpy doing, and she tells him not good. Croc shouts in anger, telling her that she has to do something. Stumpy's my only friend left here. He always makes me laugh so hard. Leslie says that she is doing all that she can, but Zaz is an effective killer. Stumpy has lost a lot of blood. Croc lashes out yelling that he will kill him. He will take that butcher down if he's got to tear this stupid little hospital apart.
Okay, so 11,
Leslie puts her hand on Croc's chest, telling him that he'll do no
o'clock.
such thing. She will not tolerate any violence in the clinic. Come again in the morning and check on him then. Until then, try
Well,
to cool
I
down.
don't see any reason
Croc
why not to
sighs,
just
telling her
jump
that he's
into
sorry.
Archer
He'll
in
come
that
back
case.
But before he could finish his sentence, the sound of a gun going off can be heard, and the bullet lands next to Croc's feet. Ex-Officer Petite holds his smoking gun, telling Croc to step away from the doctor. Croc sinks back into the shadows without saying a word. And Petite
Although,
says
actually,
that it
I
was
wanted
a
to
good
unlock
thing
some
they
more
showed up when they
dungeons.
did. Hope the rescue
So,
earns them
I got a little bit of
medical
housekeeping
attention,
I can do.
and no need to thank them. Frankly, he would have shot that freak for less than. But Leslie stops him, telling him that she lost her best friend and his wife to gunfire. If he has any intention of stepping into her clinic, then he will damn well do it without the guns. As for Croc, he's been watching over things while one of his friends recover. Petite tells her that they're going to try this again. They're coming off another battle where they're fighting to take the streets back for people like, well, her. He will disarm the injured and she will take them into her little free zone. Meanwhile, he and whoever else will lay a trap for that scaly homicidal freak. They're gonna get one more wacko before the final showdown. As everyone is taken in, Huntress watches over when there's another scream coming out of somewhere in the clinic. Mikey yells for help as Zaz is digging his pinky into Mikey's wrist. Mikey manages to get away, asking how did Zaz do that? He's still asleep. He would have killed him. It wasn't that he has killed, it's that he lives to kill. Everybody here is at risk as long as Zaz is breathing. What is the matter with the civilian do-gooders? Social charity work does not mean anything if you grant monsters refuge. Leslie tells him that she's afraid that that's exactly what it means. Some people may find their purpose through vengeance, but some doctors are pacifists. Huntress then shouts, asking, "You're healing Zaz on the grounds of pacifism? So
Yeah,
that
I'm
would
sorry,
mean
but
that
that's
you wouldn't
dumb.
raise a hand in self-defense?" Leslie says that is exactly what she would do, and Huntress scoffs, telling her, right. It would be easy to think that
Zaz isn't even one of those characters that like, oh, I accidentally became good for a day and didn't kill women for a second.
Cassandra holds out her hand in an attempt to say hello, but
been
Huntress
consistently
pushes her to the
horrible
side
in every
and continues
universe.
to
It's
walk.
okay if he's
Next,
dead.
she sees Batman before her, and he asks if she's going to push him out of the way of her too. After a moment of debating if she could push Batman, Huntress steps aside and leaves. This is the monster
Look
that
like a
Leslie is afraid
child.
of. Batman. Leslie asks if he's being a little hard on Huntress, and Batgirl says that she knows why he is. She
Oh my
lost
God,
6
just
innocents
unlock
to
the
Two-Face,
dungeon.
partially due to her negligence. They have
job.
brought in some supplies, gas for the generators, and a few pints of O-negative.
Jeepers.
Batman pauses, looking at Mikey's bandaged wrist, stating, This is Zaz's work." He hurries over to the bench where Zaz is tied up, yelling at him, asking if she's out of her mind for keeping him here. And Leslie runs over to stop Batman from untying Zaz, telling him that he can't. Zaz is unconscious. He can't heal like that. He will need an infusion as it is. Batman stares back, asking, "Is this what I went through hell for? To save that monster? You will not use that blood that I just brought in for
Figure it
Victor
out as we
Zaz."
go.
Leslie stares at him, telling him, yes, she will. And if he doesn't like it, he'll have to physically stop her. If Zaz doesn't get that blood in the next couple of hours, he will die. They cannot allow their only hope to turn into a killer. But before Batman could respond, gunshots can be heard, and Leslie turns
little
back,
smoky
calling out to
poo.
Petite.
Not
Batman tells
listening,
Cassandra to
idiots,
follow,
save
but Cassandra
psycho
motions,
killers.
asking who is Leslie. Batman tells her that she is not his mother, but she's been like one to him for most of his life. Outside of the tents, Huntress tries to pull Petite's gun, telling him that he does not want to shoot anyone here, and Petite pulls back, asking,
Went from having a
"What's so
Dr.
different about
Father
now?"
to a
As he falls
pseudo-Dr.
back, he
Mommy.
bumps into Batman, and Batman tells him,
with
"Because
that?
I'm different." And then another voice yells that they've had enough. Everyone looks up to see Croc in one of the buildings, and he shouts that if no one is respecting the hospital zone, then neither will he. Leslie goes back to check on Zsasz, and Batman follows, telling her that she needs to leave for her own protection. Zsasz is under-deviated in his bloodlust. She will have to give him a better response than the Hippocratic Oath. Leslie stands up shouting, how about her consideration for the world that they live in and her part in it? He isn't the only one with a belief system. Whereas she is grateful for what he does in watching over them, he is being childish and he is being stubborn. And more than that, she fears that she has taught him nothing. She fears that she may sink to his level instead of raising him to hers. A few moments pass in silence without saying a word. Batman turns to leave. Leslie calls out to him, but Batman continues on. Outside in the neutral zone, Cassandra runs up and Batman tells her to stay here. Protect the doctor with your life. Cassandra grabs onto his cape, spinning him around, shouting, What? What is it? And Cassandra motions to her face. Batman tells her that he doesn't know what she's trying to say and he turns away. She then uses her finger to trace some of the rain falling off her face, showing that she's crying. Back inside, Leslie begins her preparation for Zsasz's infusion when suddenly his eyes open. He jumps to his feet, looking around, asking where is he. Leslie tells Mikey to run, but before he could move, Zsasz hits Mikey, knocking him headfirst into a pile of boxes. He starts to move towards Leslie, and she tells him that he certainly has the power to do away with her.
Terminator.
But she wants him to consider one thing. Ending her life would end the possibility of medical care to all other people, including himself. He claims that murder is the only way to give him feeling, then she challenges him to feel her. She puts her hand on Zsasz's chest, and she goes on stating that she asks for 1 second of compassion, or at the very least the loss of her compassion, her attention towards her.
Why is he
Outside,
so
the fight
big in
between
this?
Rock, Petite, Huntress, and Cassandra comes to a standstill with everyone watching. Zsasz looks down at Leslie and tells her, You are one brave soul. It's inspiring to see someone act out their true nature. But my nature is to kill, so perhaps you should say your prayers. She begins to lay down on the ground, stating that she will not resist him with violence. And as he looms over, he's suddenly swept away. Croc throws Zsasz into one of the tents, stating, You made a big mistake with Stumpy. And Leslie yells for everyone to stop fighting, and it's at that moment that Batman jumps down with a large cement pipe, sliding it over Zsasz. He picks him up to leave, but Leslie stops him and hugs him. Batman asks, What is it for? I didn't save you, Croc did. Leslie tells him that she just wanted him to know that she would have preferred to lose her life than be the cause of him committing violence. And she's just glad to see him. She's always glad to see him.
That's psychotic.
Later, she continues watching over everyone when there's a shadow once again before her. Batman falls to his knees, telling her that he's sorry for being so violent. Leslie lifts her head, stating that there's no need to be sorry. She told him many times before that he must work towards peace in the city, and she will keep working towards peace in his heart. Do they have a deal? Elsewhere with Zsasz, Batman thinks back to the question and quietly says, Deal. As Batman and Jim stand in Jim's garden, the two men look at each other without saying a word. Jim tries to come up with something to say, but he remains quiet. After the wind blows by, Batman looks at one of the rose bushes and says that he did a fine job with the garden. Jim points at one of the empty plots, telling him that they had an infestation late in the summer. Had to tear up most of the vegetable patch to save the crop. Got some nice carrots out of it, tomatoes too. The two go back to their silence, and after a short walk, Jim takes off his glasses to rub his face, telling him that it's been a long year in the no man's land. Batman goes to respond, but Jim cuts him off, asking, Are we friends? And Batman tells him, Yes, we're friends. Jim looks away, telling him, It's damn odd then. I don't have very many friends. I don't trust very many people, but I trusted you. I'm grateful for the help, but it's not enough. When the No Man's Land was announced, Sarah and I tried to get out. We wanted to get away and find work somewhere else, abandon the sinking ship. But everything that I applied for, I got turned down. No one wanted a cop who needed an urban legend to do his policing for him. They all laughed at me. Some to my back, some to my face. And then I started to wonder, maybe the Batman was laughing at me too. Batman looks back, telling him, It's not true. And Jim snaps, You used me. It's been that way for 10 years. Batman tells him, Maybe it's the other way around. And Jim tells him, Absolutely, because I thought we wanted the same thing. I thought we wanted our city, this city, to be safe. That we were in this together, Batman. But where the hell were you when we needed you? This is why I don't believe that we're friends. There's no respect. There's no trust. There's always been secrets that I never pressed, but maybe I should have, instead of letting this become this, whatever this is.
Ooh, is he gonna reveal his identity?
We're
That'd be a
partners.
good
And Jim scoffs.
step.
Don't you blow smoke in me. Partners are equals. When was I ever treated like an equal with you? Partners, for example, tell each other their plans. They keep them informed. They sure as hell don't walk out in the middle of a damn sentence. Batman quietly stares for a moment, and then he says, I was never good at saying goodbye. There's no man or woman that I respect more than you, Jim Gordon. You're the best cop that there is. Actions speak louder than words.
You're a damn good cop,
Batman begins to take
Jim
off
Gordon.
his mask, but before seeing Batman's face, Jim tells him, put it back on. I need you. I need
I'd like
our
to think
partnership. We have
the
to
Jim
save
Gordon.
Gotham.
Yo,
We're so
hey,
close.
Bravo.
So put the damn mask back on. If I
Good to
wanted
see you,
to know
buddy.
who you were, I would have discovered it 10 years ago.
What's going on in
That's
your
not
life?
The point. Jim waits for a few moments, then turns around, seeing Batman back with his mask on.
I'm trying to
Jim
like
lets out a sigh,
scrape this
telling him, I
concentrate.
figured that this would happen. We should
It's
plan
like-
it out.
this is
Batman
like the
asks,
thickest shit I've
tomorrow
ever
at sunset.
smoked.
And Jim tells him, yeah, we'll do it
Yeah, what's
here.
going on,
I'll
man?
be waiting. Jim watches Batman leave, and he tells him, good night as well. With alliances being forged, Batman tells Azrael that he has a task for him, one that could be the most important thing that he'll ever do. Catwoman is returning to Gotham sometime tonight or tomorrow. She'll be carrying something that will determine the future of Gotham City. Azrael asks, what does it have to do with him? And Batman says, she may be injured or on the run. She's going to need a guardian angel. Azrael thinks for a moment, asking, how will she be entering this city? The last open tunnel was blown shut, not to mention all the military choppers overhead. Batman tells him she'll most likely be parachuting in near the eastern border of Robinson Park. Azrael asks how could he be so sure, and Batman tells him, because that's what I would do.
You been
40 miles
sleeping
south
better
on a
lately?
military base, a pilot tells his partner Freddy to hurry up. They're supposed to be on station
Remember you had,
over Gotham in about 20
that
minutes.
incident last
Catwoman
week.
sits down in the pilot's uniform, stating that
Just
she
curious
may
if
not
you're
be
doing any
Freddy.
better
She's gonna take a
in
guess
that
that he's
regard.
glad that he isn't here.
Speaking of
The pilot
sleeping.
begins to ask how did she get in here, and Catwoman finishes by asking, how do you get past electric fences and motion detectors as well as the company Marines patrolling the area? Easily. If I could do that, I imagine what I could do if you didn't cooperate. So how about we be friends for this little adventure? It'll be less painful that way. Now can we get this Tinker Toy off the ground? Up, up, and away, bright eyes. So a short while later, Azrael gets into position for Catwoman's arrival, but up in the skies, a pilot screams, asking, what the hell was that for? Catwoman laughs, stating that he might want to consider that a down payment on what he'll owe her if he ever thinks about disobeying her again. She just looked at the compass. They aren't flying north, they're flying northeast towards New York. He probably planned to pretend that he was lost or trying to run out of fuel, an excuse to radio the authorities. So she'll say this once, don't be stupid, and change the course flying towards Gotham. The chopper leans back on course, but as the two get closer to the ruined city, the pilot says, you know, I've been thinking. I could probably come up with something to explain how I was outsmarted, but I don't really want to admit that some woman in a Halloween costume got the best of me. However, I would be happy to explain it down to Chopper, as long as they find your body in the wreckage. As the helicopter makes a nosedive towards the ground, Catwoman tells him that he's bluffing, but as the chopper begins to bump and clip nearby buildings, it goes spiraling off course into the ground. Catwoman props herself up and slowly limps away when suddenly a spotlight overhead shines down on her. Agent Stone, CO of the Hardlines, the private military group that Catwoman ran into before, calls out that if she wants to keep running, she can do it if it makes her feel better. Whether she fights back or not, he's coming back to her. Azrael jumps between the two of them, telling him, no, she won't. This will be your one chance to get back into the helicopter and leave. Stone looks at Azrael, telling him, oh, you must be new. Didn't recognize the suit. Either way, you can either step aside or get hurt. The choice is yours. The two charge at each other, deflecting some attacks while taking others. After hitting into one another, they back off, and Stone says that he's pretty good. Azrael goes back to swinging, asking, are we done yet? Stone tells him that he was just starting to enjoy himself. So later at the meeting place, Catwoman shuffles in, and Batman tells her, you're injured. And Catwoman says, yeah, but nothing a platoon of doctors in a week in Aruba will cure. She hands over the disc, and Batman says, I don't know how to repay you. Maybe I can't, but you've earned a lot of points today. She smiles as she limps away, telling him that she'll see him around.
You know, Bravo, I tried
Leslie's
Apex
clinic,
Legends a
Azrael
while
returns
ago,
beaten and battered, and Leslie asks,
that
what
game
is
is
it this
way
time?
too
Just
fast
never mind.
paced
Get on
for
the
my
table so I can
brain.
examine you.
I know
Azrael
that like the
laughs, telling
marijuana
her
probably
in a
has
moment.
something to
First,
do
she
with
needs to
it,
do him a little favor.
but
He continues to walk in,
if you have any
dragging
skill at that
Agent Stone
game,
behind him, telling him, you're gonna have
good
to look
for
at this
you.
guy too. For
It's time to
Nightwing,
sign
it's
up
the
to be
same
like
dream
a
every
drone
night.
pilot
Him
or
and Babs,
something.
before her accident. They would soar through the city, but then he would always fall.
I just could
She would
not
ask
keep up
if
the
he
pace
knew
with
where
that
he
game.
was, and then he would see her in a wheelchair as Oracle. He would wake up in her bed, and the nightmare was over. He groans, stating that his hands are cold, and Babs tells him that he let himself get beat up on by every thug in Blackgate, and he moans like a little girl. She kisses his forehead, telling him that the fever is going down, but before he asks, that kiss was purely scientific.
Nice.
Nightwing leans up, stating
Yeah,
that
I
he
think I played it
appreciates
like,
everything that she's
I don't
doing.
know,
Babs
4 or
tells him to
5
just be grateful
times,
that he
like
came to
matches,
her,
and then I
not the
was
subterranean
just,
boys club.
I don't
Alfred
know.
wouldn't let him lie around and watch cartoons all day.
Like, I know if I sucked long enough, I would eventually get good, but at least PUBG gives me the illusion, like, you don't have to be the best player to win, necessarily, you know?
Just then an alert
You
pops
don't
up that
have
there's
to be the
activity in
best at
Zone
getting
1.
headshots,
Nightwing
you
asks
just gotta
if it's
survive.
important, and she says no, that's just seismic activity, but someone's on the street up front. The two sit down to eat, and the alarm goes off
Though I don't
again,
really
this time in
understand
Zone
the
4.
nuance of
And
Apex
Nightwing asks
Legends
what
well
about that
enough to
one, and
really
she says
make
that it's
any
a
kind of,
steam tunnel
critique on
running
it.
under the building. Whether it's a 2-legged or 4-legged, it won't be a problem. A lot of non-lethal nasties down there. Nightwing then asks, when is she supposed to worry about these alarms? And she tells him when it hits Zone 12, then she's in trouble. How's the soup? He eats it, stating that he could get used to it, and the two of them begin to talk, and they eat. And an angry look comes over Babs' face as she leaves, and Nightwing says that he didn't mean to. He says there's nothing, she just has to check on something. He follows asking what is it, and she says there's nothing, he just
Why
needs
did
to
it
be a
look
good
painful
boy and
when
go
he
back and get rest.
despawned?
And Nightwing asks, is it because of the chair? She turns back, telling
think
him
that
it's
would've,
more
like,
than
made
that.
me feel
And he says
sad as
that,
a
no,
child.
it's not. Tell him. She owes him at least that much. Babs takes a deep breath, telling him that he's right. She does owe him that much.
Back, bird.
For a long time, she felt that she had coped with the loss of her legs, learned to get over it. But lately, she's been beating herself up over it. She couldn't just get over it. She misses walking, running, turning the bathtub faucet with her toes. She then realized that she's never not going to miss this. There's so many things that she can't do now because of it. So many things that she had to leave behind, including him. He kneels down, stating that it doesn't matter to him, what can he do? And she begins to cry, stating that she just needs time, that's all. And he tells her anything, he just misses her. She touches his face and says that he's gross, he needs a shave. So a few moments later, she slowly lowers the razor, and Nightwing asks if she's done this before, and she tells him not to smile and don't make her laugh. It really wouldn't be pretty for him. When she finishes, she kisses his cheek, stating that
Hey,
everything
crazy
seems
person.
fine. And as the two look into each other's
These are
eyes,
the trials,
they kiss.
right.
It's at this moment that the alarm goes off again, and this time it is Zone 12. Nightwing grabs his mask, asking where is Zone 12, and Babs tells him the roof, but there's another on
There we
street
go.
level. Just then, the door to the computer room is broken in, and a group of well-armed soldiers surround Nightwing and Babs.
Right.
Nightwing says that they are
That
better
one
armed than the
unlocked.
usual scavengers, and they're going to need
go
all of
unlock.
them. Petite takes off his helmet,
Extreme
shouting that they're not some
Shiva.
street scum, they are the law. And Nightwing tells him,
Shiva?
you stepped way over the line this time. You better call for backup. And another voice tells him, he already did, lover. As Huntress jumps down, stating that she is all the backup that Petite is going to need. One of the men points his gun at Babs, stating that she needs to keep her hands where they can see them. She folds her arms, stating, Tyndall, Canseco,
I think
Winter
given
Creek.
Huntress's
And just then a
backstory,
flash of light
like,
blinds everyone with
she's
Nightwing calling out
criminally
that that was smart.
underutilized
She tackles
in the
one of the
Bat
men over,
family.
stating that he mentioned having his lenses polarized. She hoped that he did. He tackles into Huntress, telling her that he sure did. Looks like Missy here didn't get the upgrade, though. Petite aimlessly starts shooting, shouting that this isn't over, and as Nightwing quickly grabs Babs, he covers her, with Huntress grabbing Petite by the neck, telling him that he's not going to get one of them killed with that cowboy stuff. Once the two of them get to the safe room, Babs begins to get to work contacting the outside world when she asks
I guess it
Nightwing
depends
how
which
he's doing.
version.
He weakly
There's so
tells her
many
that it was
variants.
nothing, him and Huntress. It was a big mistake. Way over that now, Babs. She tells him, right, as if I couldn't tell by the way you clocked her. Her and Petite are poisoned together. I'm not sure what their game is, but I figure that they think I'm a bargaining chip with my dad. I don't think that they know the whole Oracle thing. Babs begin to set off the rest of the traps in the room and then tells Nightwing that they need to go. She radioed everyone. They just have to make it out. As the two get into the elevator, there's a loud explosion with everything beginning to shake. Babs asks what the hell are those maniacs doing? They're going to bring down the whole place. And Nightwing tells her that they're going to be okay. They are. But before he could finish, the lights go out. Nightwing cracks a glow stick, climbing out of the elevator, grabbing Babs,
okay.
telling her
We
that
need to
this
go
isn't
here.
going to work. And Nightwing struggles, telling her that it has to. They just can't let Petite find them. Babs laughs, stating that it's always like this.
Oh, it's over
I
that
really had a
way.
thing for
I'm
you back
just
then. And Nightwing tells her that it didn't have to end there. It didn't have to end for him.
Unperceptive? Is that
As
a
the two
word?
reconcile, the doors to the next floor open up, and Huntress jumps in, stating that she doesn't have time to explain. Petite is losing his mind. She may be their
that
only way
doesn't
out of
make
this mess.
sense.
Babs
I'm
asks
not-
if they're
I
really
guess
supposed to
I'm
trust
not
her, and
perspective.
Huntress
Yeah,
says, do you
see,
really have a choice?
that's not a word.
She cuts the cable to the elevator, sending it all the way down, with Petite rushing and trying to shoot everyone. As the elevator crashes at the bottom, Babs tells everyone to hurry to the garage, it's just up ahead. As the three of them get to the door, some of Petite's men stop them, radioing that they've cornered them. One of the other men tells Huntress, Petite can forgive you. Everyone get your hands in the air. Babs smiles, stating, of course. Mallory, Ripken, Peppermint. Just then the floor falls out beneath the men and they all go tumbling into the sewers below. As the three continue onward, Nightwing says that he gets it. An English scholar, a baseball player. But what about the third? She tells him it's a flavor of gum. She needed something that she could never say by accident. Once the three of them get into the garage, Huntress
See, look, they say
Nightwing
this is just for teenage boys.
Nightwing
Look at
stays
that.
days
You
around
got
and
shirtless
finally
Dick
tells him,
Grayson right
"You're
there.
dangerous." Babs
Yeah, a
tells
little
him,
something
right,
for everybody.
in more ways than one, lover.
So don't let them tell you. You're just chauvinist.
As the sun
if you
rises
love
over
comics.
Gotham City, a man stands tall, telling the citizens that
you
no
get
man's
dick without
land
a
is
shirt
an
on.
embarrassment, a
That's
betrayal
just
on the
fun to
fundamental
say.
precepts of this country. That is why LexCorp says enough is enough. We have committed ourselves to rebuilding Gotham City. As Lex Luthor speaks to the media live from inside the fallen city, onlookers from all over the world tune in. But there's no one watching more closely than Batman himself, trying to understand Lex's reasoning. Batman tells Babs to watch over the media and report back on anything noteworthy. Azrael and Batgirl are handling the Joker, and Tim will head west to monitor Petite and Huntress's camp. Tim asks if there's really anything for him to do over there, and Batman says, "You'll not reveal yourself, just watch and listen." And Babs asks what is he going to do. Batman says that he'll be the one to welcome Luthor to the neighborhood. So, later at Petite's stronghold territory, Huntress looks over their sector, making sure that everything remains quiet. Petite's right-hand man, Foley, walks up onto the rooftop, stating that he thought he'd find her over here. Petite then asks everyone to meet downstairs and talk about the Luthor thing. Huntress says that she'll go down when she's damn well ready. Foley looks around to make sure that no one is coming, then says that he thinks Petite is losing it. He's done a good job of keeping everyone safe, keeping them safe, but that thing with Two-Face, well, he wanted blood for no reason. Huntress tells him that Two-Face is a killer, and Foley says right, but he's already in custody. Huntress gives Foley a final hard look and then leaves. And across the way, Tim watches and listens. Later that night, inside Lex camp, Lex is sleeping in his comfy bed while Mercy stays away to keep watch. She hears something in the shadow, but before she can even turn around, she's knocked out and releases her grip on her gun. Batman looms over, waking up Lex, telling him, "We need to talk." As Lex wakes up startled, he looks at Mercy and says, "I hope whatever you did to her isn't permanent. Good help is so hard to find these days." Batman tells him, "She'll live." So Lex gets up, putting on his robe, letting out a sigh of relief, telling him, "Well, that's good, isn't it? Now what exactly is the point of this visit? Planning on looming ominously for the rest of the night?" Batman leans forward, telling him, "You know what this is about. This is not your city." And Lex tells him that he is only here on a humanitarian
They're
mission,
almost standing tip to
unless
tip.
he can prove otherwise. Batman smiles and Lex tells him,
Just saying.
"You're bluffing. If you had anything, you wouldn't be here to threaten me." Batman moves nose to nose with Lex, telling him, "This is not
Nose to
a
nose
threat.
and tip to tip.
This is a warning. You won't be able to stop me. Neither is the bodyguard."
That's what they're going to say at my
quietly
funeral
sneaking
instead
up.
of ashes
Lex
to
nods
ashes and
Mercy,
dust to dust,
stating that
nose
it's
to nose and tip
self-abuse.
to tip.
Batman was just leaving. As Batman disappears into the shadows, Lex looks at Mercy, telling her
I
to
want you to
get
be shouting
Bane
that at my
now.
funeral, Bravo.
The next day, the news of Lex's
Shout it.
construction efforts begins to sway the public opinion, urging more and more people to demand that the no man's land law gets revoked. But there's something more about all of this. Why is Lex saving Gotham? While Babs watches the news, Batman tells her, "I need a line to Lucius Fox." As they're connected, Batman laughs, telling Lucius, "It's been a while. Yeah, I'm out here in Barbados with some women, working on my tan, Lucius." Lucius tells him, Right. Have you heard the news?" And Batman tells him in his Bruce voice, "Yeah, that's actually why I'm calling. Met this man the other day. He said he was from Gotham. As it turns out, he says that Luthor wanted to buy his real estate holdings in Gotham. Lex is offering top dollar. We haven't been approached, have we, to sell land or anything?" Lucius tells him, "No, but this guy, did he have a name?" And Batman tells him, Sure. It was, Harding, or Nick, or Buck. I know it was definitely Harding." Lucius sits back in his chair, telling him, "They haven't sold anything, and frankly, he can't. Presumably, if and when the no man's land law is lifted, every title will be reinstated." Batman laughs. "Sounds good. I'll keep in touch." As the days go on, more and more steel and wood are brought into the ravaged land, slowly rebuilding the city to its former glory. But while that's going on, Batman keeps an eye over his city, waiting for Lex to make a mistake. While the efforts of restoring peace are made, there is someone hell-bent on disturbing it. Mercy reports that around 3:30 last night, the Joker appeared, destroying all of their equipment. Lex shouts, "That's every night this week. He's out of control. He's costing us money. Take care of the problem, Mercy." Later that night, as the workers begin to make progress on a new site, someone is knocking out all of the guards one by one, leaving the engineers exposed. Harley Quinn calls out that, "I would like everyone's attention. Ladies and gents, backed by popular demand, it's the Joker!" Joker smacks Harley with a rubber chicken, stating, "That will be enough. Anyways, good evening, folks. Glad you can make it. We have a great show in store for you tonight. But first, let's speak to the audience. What is your name, miss?"
I like
Frightened worker
the
says,
helmet design.
"Lori." The Joker laughs, stating, "You might want to see something about that stammer. Or I could take a
just
closer
unlock
look."
the dungeon.
He pulls out a pair of scissors from the rubber chicken, and the woman backs up, begging
tell me
him
who to
not
kill
to.
and where to
but just
go.
before the Joker could snap Leo's footsteps and yells, "Finally!
feeling
I was
today.
beginning to think that no one cared." As Joker looks back, he looks up, stating, "Oh, well, this is going to suck." Bane grabs Joker by the collar, telling him, "You aren't very funny," and he punches him across the sight. The Joker slides underneath Mercy, telling him, "I see Europe! I see friends!" However, before he could finish, Mercy cocks her gun, and the Joker just smiles. Bane lifts Joker back up, and Mercy says that she will be the last face that he ever sees. No one messes with Mr. Luthor's business. Harley readies her shotgun, telling Mercy that no one messes with Mr. J unless they want a new breezeway through their skull. Mercy grabs the shotgun, pushing Harley away, telling Bane
Actually,
to let
I
Joker
wish
go.
more-
Joker and his crew begin running.
More
Bane
more
asks,
cutscenes
"Should I
did this.
kill him?" And Mercy says,
Gave you a little
"It won't be
hints about
necessary.
some
He got the
weaknesses and
message."
whatnot.
The next day, the Penguin says that he isn't one to be kept waiting, and Lex tells him, "Make it fast. I would rather not be seen with you." Penguin twiddles his finger, stating, "Exactly. That is why we really shouldn't be telling the media about this meeting, right? Here's the deal. Once Gotham is rebuilt, everything will be fine and good. And as for its underworld, well, how about we share a little bit of that pie?" As Penguin's men surround Lex and Mercy, Lex asks Mercy if she could, and within seconds, she takes out all of Penguin's men save for one. As Mercy holds him up, she asks, "This one as well?" And Lex stares into the Penguin's eyes, telling her, "Do it." And then her
Found
gun
the
goes
device.
off. Lex says
Don't
that he
be
will
pussy.
never threaten him again. They can both see that he has Mercy. While Lex gets back to
setup
dealing
to
with
this
his
one.
distractions, the world tunes into the news for a very important announcement.
Guess he
Lucius
sacrificed
Fox
his life.
announced that as of 10:30 this morning,
Helmet guy.
Wayne Enterprises is proud to be a part of the coalition to help make this happen. Access to Gotham will be restored in the
Oh,
next
man.
week, and they will be delivering emergency supplies and equipment, as well as an army of engineers.
Here, let me
The
tell you how
goal is
bad
to
I feel
officially
about this,
reopen
'cause,
Gotham City on January 1st. New Year's
genocide.
Day, ladies and gentlemen, No Man's Land is over. Christmas is drawing closer. The people of Gotham begin to hope once again. Soon it may be over. Soon the No Man's Land may end. As military helicopters
That
fly
one
in
is
with
a lot.
supplies, everyone across No Man's Land looks to the sky. Lex continues to bring in more and more building supplies. Medical equipment is brought in to treat those most affected by the devastation. But there's one lingering question. Where did the Joker go? One more bit of good news is that the Attorney General reopened the GCPD, allowing Jim to become the police commissioner once again. However, as good as things are moving forward, over in the strongman's territory, things are beginning to move backwards. Foley said that on Christmas Eve of all times, everyone should be allowed to go wherever they want. They just can't keep us in one spot. And Petite shouts, "No, everyone here will attend. No more of our numbers whittling away. We will have a Christmas feast. Attendance is mandatory for the sector. If anyone has a problem with that." Petite pulls out his gun, and Huntress yells that that's enough. He scoffs, telling her that everyone will be there. But still, no one has seen hide nor green hair of the Joker. Batman asks Penguin, Poison Ivy, Ventriloquist, and Two-Face, and they all have the same answer. They don't know, and they don't give a
Thought I
damn.
was going
So
crazy
with
in
that,
real
Christmas
time,
Eve
you
comes,
know?
and everyone sits down for dinner together as a family. Even Petite and the strongman inside their own mess hall. As dinner gets underway, a guard radios in stating that he's here. The Joker! He's coming in! Petite grabs a rifle telling everyone that this is it, on your feet. And Huntress asks, are you crazy? You can't send them out there. The Joker didn't just show up to the lion's den to be shot. It's a trap. The Joker stands outside shouting, Merry Christmas, pigs! Come and get me! Back inside, Petite tells Huntress to get out of his way, and Huntress shouts asking, do you know what the Joker wants to do? He's trying to bait you. And Petite tells her, no, he's challenging control. He's making me look like a damn fool in front of my own people. No one does that. He finally pushes her out of the way as he takes a squad outside, and as he looks around, he finds nothing. As the snow begins to fall, Petite looks around for his target when he finally finds Joker hiding inside of a building, and he pulls the trigger, shooting the Joker in the head. He stands back up asking, was that really hard? And the Joker's voice calls out asking, would you like to try for two? He steps out, and before he could fully step out, Petite fires again, and then a third Joker steps out and Petite fires again. Foley and Huntress run up to the Joker, yelling that he is shooting his own men. The Joker is dressing his men up like him. More of Petite's men are sent out and all are gunned down, one after another. Huntress and Foley try to reason with Petite, but he either doesn't hear them or he's ignoring them. He calls out to the next squad to come out, and Huntress tells Foley that she will remain here. But he needs to get to Central and get help. Sarah, Gordon, anyone. Foley says that he will come back as soon as he can, and as he gets up, Petite looks over and says, I told everyone that they cannot leave without permission. He takes out his sidearm, firing a single bullet, hitting Foley square in the forehead. Huntress's grief quickly turns to anger as she charges at him, shouting that he is just as mad as the Joker. Foley trusted him. He trusted him to protect everyone.
I guess the hard version isn't necessarily the same as the original.
Shouting, you are a dead man! And that's when the lamb. Petite looks up as he draws his last breath, and the Joker walks out with his crew, stating, I couldn't have said it better myself. Now, why don't you make like a good girl and move along? We're gonna get those babies and, well, we'll just have to wait for a surprise. Huntress stands in front of the door, and the Joker asks, do you really want this? You versus us, there's like 20 of us! And thanks to Petite here, we're armed to the teeth! Huntress readies herself, and the Joker says, suit yourself. Get her, boys! All of the henchmen charge in, and the Huntress kicks the trash to the fire to slow them down, fighting off as many as they can. But as the Huntress thinks that she will be able to do this, another gunshot goes off, and she feels a sharp pain in the side of her chest. Joker walks up. You're good. You're real good. But I've seen some of the best. Another shot goes off, hitting her in the stomach, and she slumps onto the door as the Joker goes on. You know, it's funny. I wouldn't normally be shooting you like this, except it turned out that Petite had so many bullets. Seriously, he had like a bullet for every man, woman, and child in Gotham. Huntress begins to stand up, but the Joker shoots her a third time in the leg, telling her, you really are a tough little thing. Huntress looks up as the Joker pulls the hammer back in the gun and tells him, bite me. But before the Joker can pull the trigger, a batarang flies through the air, hitting the Joker in the wrist, and Batman grabs him by the shirt. Harley grabs one of the discarded guns, opening fire, but Batman turns to her, knocking her out. With Batman's attention diverted, the Joker takes out a small remote, telling him, since we're all here, it's time to bring down the house! Nightwing hauls out the bomb overhead, and Batman quickly throws a batarang to dislodge it from the building. Huntress weakly stating, babies. He wanted to take the babies. Batman unscrews the small device left by the Joker to find that it was a decoy, and he tells Nightwing to bring her to Dr. Tompkins. Huntress looks up at Batman, asking, are you happy now? He brushes her hair aside, telling her that she needs rest. You did good work. Nightwing lifts her up, telling her, you should feel special. That's like his highest praise. Over in the Gordon household, Jim, Babs, and Sarah all begin to open their gifts to each other when suddenly Batman appears. Jim asks, is something wrong? And Batman tells him, we have to discuss a serious problem. Joker attacked Petite's camp. Huntress held him off, but she's in critical condition. She said that the Joker was after infants. It's been confirmed. He kidnapped all of the babies across No Man's Land. This was his statement. He wants to murder Hope. As every able person gathers together, Batman explains that Oracle has confirmed that LexCorp is missing 70 pounds of Semtex. What's more, he kidnapped 36 infants. They will find them, but at that moment, the laughter can be heard, and the Joker yells on the rooftop, "I don't think so! Here's how it's going to play out, Batman! Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the town, little babies were hidden by Gotham's evil clown. As the Christmas day neared and the sun it did rise, either bats found the kids, or the kids, well, they dies." Batman shouts, "Go!" to everyone as he gives chase, quickly grappling his way to the rooftop. And as he gets to the top, he doesn't see the Joker. He scans the area and he notices the Joker down below waving his arms, and he jumps down to follow. And as the Joker looks back, Batman grabs him, telling him, "I thought so." The Joker tries to attack, but Batman deflects it, slamming his palm into the Joker's face, telling him, "That is enough, Quinn." He rips off the Joker costume, asking, "Where is he?" As his grip tightens on Harley's throat, she manages to tell him, "Central hid the babies. Police station, please don't kill me." Batman throws her down, radioing to Babs the location of the babies, and she quickly sends out the message to everyone. As Jim is listening in, he says, "That's where Sarah went." Sarah looks at her radio as the message ends, and then begins to hear the faint cry of babies nearby. She grabs her gun, she slowly makes her way towards the sound when she hears someone stating, "Sure, it's okay. You won't feel a thing. Hunky Joker's here." She kicks in the door, telling the Joker to freeze, and as he turns back, he stares. He pulls out his gun,
a lot of
stating,
babies.
"I would like to report a crime. You tried to shoot me, and I dropped the baby." He tosses the baby to Sarah, and as she catches him, Joker points his gun and he fires. As everyone converges on the station, the Joker walks out the front door, telling them all, "I surrender." And a few moments later, Renee and Bullock come out in tears, stating they're so sorry. Jim turns to the Joker, punching him to the ground, shouting, "You animal!" And the Joker laughs as he wipes the blood from his mouth, telling him,
"Dude, yeah, at that point, it's okay to kill him."
Jim pulls back the hammer on his revolver, telling Batman he has gone too far. Paralyzed my daughter, my little girl, and he just murdered my bride. He has gone too far. Batman tells him that they've all gone too far. Look at them.
They've all gone too far.
We can't take any
Who
more.
has a
It's time to
made
bring
the
our
room of
people
baby
back, Jim.
baby
Jim
thing?
continues to aim his gun at the Joker, and Batman turns,
so
telling him, "I won't stop you."
Batman's
Jim's
fucked
head begins to tremble, and the Joker asks, "You have a son, right?" The gun goes off, and the Joker screams in pain. "Hey, you can't let him do that! He shot me in the knee! Oh, like your daughter! I get it! Good one, Commish!" Jim puts away his gun, telling them that they're going to arrest him. But before he could even walk down the stairs of the station, he collapses. Batman catches him, telling him, "I've got you." As the priest starts his service, Babs can't hear a thing. She can hardly feel Nightwing's hand on her shoulder, and she can't stop crying. Everyone stops to give their condolences, even Lex Luthor. But as everyone leaves, Batman remains. Jim looks at him and asks one
Lex?
question.
Why would Lex give a shit about Gordon?
It was December 31st, the last day of No Man's Land.
That's weird.
As the night approaches, Lucius meets with Batman to go over something that he found, well, disturbing. As Batman gets ready for the grand reopening of the city, Lucius asks if he remembers when they spoke of a man named Hardy. Batman plays dumb, stating no. Lucius goes on stating, well, he did. Said to look into him selling his land to Luthor. Turns out, Harding doesn't exist. Whoever he spoke to was trying to give him a tip of some major fraud. Batman says that he doesn't really understand, and Lucius tells him that he will skip the boring stuff. All he needs to know is that it looks like Luthor has been tampering with official records, and that's why he's been here all along. He wants to own Gotham. This is the proof. These are notarized copies of actual deeds as well as Luthor's forgeries. We're going to go to Luthor directly to see what he has to say about this, and Batman asks, should I go with? And Lucius says that it won't be necessary. Kick back and enjoy the party. As Lucius leaves, Batman begins to take off his suit, telling Alfred that Luthor is going to listen to what Lucius has to say and then kill him outright. Alfred reaches for the closet and pulls out the cowl, handing it to Batman. With New Year's Eve coming, Gothamites and news all gather at the newly reopened Gotham Tower built by Lex. As Jim and Babs arrive, Jim says that he was never good at these public things. Sarah was always better. He's so lost without her. Babs takes her father's hand, telling him that she knows. She knows. Meanwhile, upstairs in Lex's office, Lex straightens his suit, telling Lucius to make it fast. Lucius tells him, of course, he wanted to stop by and drop off these documents. While reviewing the records, there seems to be some, well, discrepancies. Lex begins to read through them, stating that this is clearly irregular. Hopefully, no one is implying fraud. Lucius tells him certainly not. It's obviously an attempt to slander him by implying this. If these were to be leaked to the media, Lex sits back in his chair and says that they should keep this quiet. No need to involve the press. He'll have his people look into it, and in the meantime, would it be an issue leaving the documents here? Lucius tells him, of course, he's got copies. Glad that they'll be able to sort this out. As Lucius leaves, Lex throws the papers off his desk, telling Mercy to kill that man before he gets downstairs. She runs after him, and the second she reaches the door, Batman kicks it in, knocking her to the ground. She jumps to her feet and begins to attack, but Batman blocks all of her hits, telling her, "You're good, just not good enough." He knocks Mercy to the ground, jumping onto the desk, telling Lex, "I warned you a month ago. This city belongs to Batman. Gotham is not for sale, and if you leave now, you can be in Metropolis by midnight." And with that, the new year rolls in, and the people of Gotham find peace. Jim pours 2 glasses of champagne for Sarah, telling her that he loves her. And Happy New Year. And across the way, Batman places 2 roses on his parents' grave, looking up at the fireworks as they light up the night sky. And there you have it, the Batman No Man's Land storyline right here at Comicstorian. Now, if you enjoyed this, make sure you like, subscribe, and check back every Monday for a massive compilation of all of our older videos.
I still like
Thank you guys.
No Man's Land.
You have found yourself in the bizarre side of YouTube, where reality meets fiction, where your stories are read back to you in a dramatic fashion,
and
where
I
I
think
get to
the
pretend to be a voice
Immortal
actor.
Hulk
This
is
is Comicstorian, and we
the
take
one
the
where he
time
goes
to
to
make you
hell
a
and
comic
he's
expert
like
by
a
filling you in
fucking
on the big moments
horror
happening
monster in
within
this.
the world
I
of
think this
comic
is a good
books.
series
We cut
too.
out the B plots, limit our panel usage to prevent copyright problems, and allow you to have something to collect. Today we're going to be covering the Immortal Hulk storyline. This was a total of 50 issues involving the Hulk going to hell and giving the
it is the
entire
one. Yeah, I
history
like this
as
series.
to why the Hulk was
actually.
able to come back to life. So often it never truly died, but
Felt like we had like
seemingly
a
died
kind
at
of
the
a
same
bad
time.
streak
So
of
let's start with
stories for a
Immortal
minute
Hulk,
there.
Issue 1.
It's about time we had a good streak.
In the middle of nowhere, Arizona, a man named Tommy nervously pulls up to the Roxxon gas station, trying to find the courage to do what he must. Across the lot, a mother calls out to her daughter to make sure that whatever she is buying is healthy. The daughter rolls her eyes, telling her, "Okay." Inside the store is another nameless man, reading a magazine off of the shelf. And as the daughter reaches into the cooler, she notices the nameless man staring at her and asks if he has a problem. The nameless man puts down his magazine and he begins to leave. But the daughter scoffs when he says, "Excuse me," and passes by. But as that happens, Tommy finally builds up his nerves, and he runs into the store with a face covered, holding a gun. Tommy tells the clerk to not hit the alarms, just open the register. The clerk says, sure, anything he can. Just then, the daughter sees what's happening. She drops her bottle, causing it to smash on the ground. The sound startles Tommy, and he spins around and he fires his gun. The daughter grabs her chest as she falls to the ground, and all Tommy can do is stand there, frozen. The nameless man looks at the young girl, stating that and he looks up. His eyes, they turn bright green, but before Bruce could change into the Hulk, he's shot in the forehead. The clerk holds up his arms, begging Tommy not to do it. He still hasn't hit the alarm yet, but Tommy points the gun at the clerk, and he pulls the trigger. Later, Detective Gloria Mays tells reporter Jackie McGee that their first victim was Sandra Ann Brockhurst, 12. The clerk was Josh Alfaro, age 22, and the third, he's a John Doe, probably someone local, but he does have a familiar face. Jackie scribbles her notes into her pad, asking if they're okay with that being posted tomorrow. And Gloria says hopefully that will loosen some lips and get people talking. But while the crime scene is being processed, the 3 bodies are transported to the morgue. However, Bruce's body slowly begins to change green, and his arm raises. A short while later, in another part of the town at an abandoned home, Tommy explains that he didn't want any of that stuff to happen. And the gun went off. Joe, the leader of the small biker gang, sits down, telling him, "Yeah, real shame, but how much did you get?" Tommy cries, asking, "What?" And Joe says, come on, how much did you get? Tommy tells him he's not sure, maybe a few hundred. Joe says, okay then. You can start paying me back the interest in what you owe me. I'm gonna let things slide for now. I got myself a real nice family. Everyone begins to laugh, and Joe pushes Tommy out, telling him to make sure to bring the rest of the money. Don't bring him another sob story. All right? Tommy turns to hurry and leave, but before he can go outside, there's a loud thoom and a tremor that sends everyone to the ground. Joe stumbles back, telling everyone to grab their guns and check on the generator. A few members of the gang run out, stating that the generator's been destroyed. And another says that he thinks he sees something. Seconds later, the man screams and Joe shouts, what the hell is that? A third member runs and yelling that there's a devil out there. Something big. Joe cracks the man across the head, telling him to shut up. He's just another meth head. Everyone gather up, we're ending this now. The remaining members all point their guns at the door. And through the wall, a pair of giant green arms burst through, grabbing Joe. Outside, Tommy is running to his car, breathing heavy as he searches for the keys to put into the lock. But the shouting scares him, and he drops them. He then hears nothing. He looks at the dark house, and he pulls out his gun, asking, Is anyone there? Hello? Anyone? And just then a giant shadow looms over Tommy in the moonlight.
Hey,
and the
so
Hulk
they just
says,
reused this model.
Sandra Ann Burkhurst. That was her name. And she was 12. Tommy stumbles back and the Hulk says, how does it feel in your hand? Heavy, right? All that stopping power? Heavier than it was at the range even. Tommy tells him no. And the Hulk goes on. You're probably wondering, right? All that power. What would happen if he just let loose? Tommy holds up his gun and he begins to shoot, but as the bullets pling off of the Hulk, he says,
assuming they're over here for
you should have shot someone who deserved it. But do you know what I found? It's because you've been lying to yourself. I can smell a liar. Tommy drops the gun, yelling, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I'll go to the police, just I have a family. I have a little girl. Didn't you ever make a mistake? Please, I'm not a bad guy. Am I? The Hulk smiles as he reaches down, asking Tommy, what do you think? The next morning, Bruce wakes up and gets cleaned up. And as he washes his hands, he tells himself, I'm not a bad person. Am I? He looks in the mirror and he sees the Hulk staring right back at him, asking him, what do you think? While avoiding the prying eyes of many, Bruce Banner spends a lot of time alone, often in a small room. But as he wakes from his nightmare, he tells himself that it's not the bomb that he dreams about, it's the waiting. Being trapped in a tiny room with a Geiger counter. The radiation that he's taken, and nobody could survive this. They call it the walking ghost phase. You feel like you're healthy, like you're not dead, but death is coming. It's coming in the form of a hissing Geiger counter. It crackles, it laughs at him, and it won't shut up. It won't leave him alone. It just won't leave him alone. As he blinks, he looks out the bus window. Did he just say all that stuff out loud? It doesn't really matter, the bus is mostly empty. Nobody to give a fitfully sleeping stranger a second look. But that's the third night in a row with the same dream. He should just stop sleeping, or at least at night. The night is his time. The bus makes a stop and Bruce feels an itch in the back of his skull. His seat is no longer comfortable. It's a sign. There's something here for him. Bruce heads into the diner to get something to eat and try to enjoy one of the few things that he can enjoy. Eating. The taste, the smell, everything about it. He can still enjoy it, even with him looking back at him. But it isn't so bad now. He just finds ways to use that power inside. Ways to use him to bring a measure of justice to this world. A way to atone for his sins.
I'm a dungeon
Bruce
master.
heads out and he looks down at the papers and he sees the
I always
headline.
knew I had it.
Hulk cited by a reporter named Jackie
I always
McGee
told
in the
people
Arizona
one day
Herald.
I'd be a dungeon
Bruce looks
master.
around.
And they said,
Should he
no,
run?
Ronan, you
Will
can't do
someone
it. It's
recognize him?
impossible.
He looks down and he sees the local paper with the headline, Mystery Deaths Are Nothing to Worry About. Yes, that's something he's interested in. Nobody should recognize him, so he should be able to ask around, and he'll start at the bars. He asks the bartender about these deaths, and one of the patrons says that he knows exactly what it is. It's grief. 4 people have fallen into the same thing.
Look at that.
They lose
One down
someone,
already.
they bury them. They fall into grief. After that, the sickness comes. It's like a chain of sickness. Soon the whole town will be grieving. What then? The bartender tells the man to give it a rest. She doesn't need him scaring off the clientele. And Bruce asks, what started this chain of grief? A man lowers his glass, telling him, "That's easy. It was when the fry boy died." The bartender tells the man to hush, and Bruce says, "Who's that?" Bartender takes out her phone and says that she should have a picture of him. His name was Del Fry. Prom king, star quarterback, you name it, he was the best at it. He died of some embolism or something, just kneeled over and died. Nice kid. Rich too. His father was a doctor, invented something or made it better. Something like that. What was it? Medical treatment? Cancer treatment? Nah, radiation treatment. When Bruce hears those words, the itch returns, focused on a single point. Right where the arrow that killed him went in. It wasn't long ago that Bruce had asked an acquaintance to fire a special kind of arrow into his brain. It was a complex situation, but he needed to know if he could die. The arrow did a lot of damage, and he's not sure that he's fully healed, but now his other thinks he's smarter. Bruce wanders through the town cemetery, and he finds himself stopping at Del Fry's grave, with something telling him that it all started right here. Something in this place, in the air, the soil, something he recognizes. Something he doesn't want to recognize. Something that's a part of him. Bruce stumbles back, stating, No. He runs to a payphone, calling the police, stating that it's gamma radiation emitting from the grave. Anybody visiting it is in danger of acute radiation syndrome. It's like a flu at first, food poisoning, but it's also called the walking ghost phase. No, he doesn't have an exact reading. No, he can't give you his name. You know what? Fine. You want my name? It's Robert Bruce Banner, and don't make me angry. He hurries, knowing that got their attention. And there's still something else, though. He saw it on the way in, a flash of green in the distant mountain. He begins to climb the side of that mountain, inching closer and closer to the source of that green light. And as he climbs into a cave, he sees the bodies scattered about, with a voice stating that they are so sorry. Bruce asks, Dr. Fry? And the bright green radioactive body of Dr. Fry lunges forward, telling Bruce, I'm sorry, but I can't let anyone find me. As Dr. Fry holds Bruce down by his neck, he thinks to himself, he wanted to know if he could die, and he could. With that, there's a loud crack as Bruce's arms turn green, and the Hulk jumps up, slamming Dr. Fry into the ground. Sure, Bruce Banner can die, but the Hulk can't. Dr. Fry shouts, oh God, you're Dr. Banner! The Hulk picks up Dr. Fry, asking, are you trying to piss me off? Your kid, what's his name, Del? It started with him, didn't it? And don't lie, I can smell a liar. Dr. Fry pauses for a moment and tells him, he was afraid of death. I never really thought of it until my wife, Claire, died. I wondered what the afterlife was like. I just couldn't imagine it. All the joys of touch and taste and smell, the thought of it all just gone. I couldn't let that happen. So I threw myself into my work. Everyone saw Dr. Banner as a cautionary tale, but not me. I made minor improvements to the conventional cancer treatments, but the real work, I kept that to myself. Human testing began with me and it went perfectly. After a month of initial injection, I felt 10 years younger. The gamma-powered healing factor had no side effects, and my son was going pro. With all the injuries that he could face, I couldn't wait, so I injected him and something happened. He said he saw a green door, and someone was looking back at him. It's below us. That's when he fell over, and he was dead within seconds. After that, I destroyed the serum. Nobody suspected me, so I never had to confess. The Hulk scoffs. I've got it from here. So you hid yourself in the middle of nowhere. In between killing anyone who found you, you began to wonder why did you live? Well, science is the other guy. But maybe you built up a tolerance, created your very own walking ghost phase. That's the irony of it all. You're afraid of death, and now you are death. You loved your son, but you put him in a grave. Dr. Fry cowers. Oh, God. And Hulk tells him, yeah, now you're getting it. He's radioactive. 6 feet of Earth isn't enough to contain that. Everyone who goes to mourn walks away with a fatal dose and becomes a walking ghost. How many has it been, Dr. Fry? How many have to die because you were scared? Dr. Fry backs up. Please, I've made mistakes. I don't want to die. The Hulk laughs. Is that so? Well, you made your bed. It's time to lie in it. Moments pass, and as Dr. Fry opens his eyes, he begins to rub his face, but nothing comes. His arms, his legs, they are gone. And now he's buried deep beneath within the mountain where he can live and never die. If you listen closely, in the dead of the night, you can hear him begging. Death is better. Please let me die. With news of Hulk being sighted across the United States, Arizona Herald reporter Jackie McGee visits the last known place where Bruce Banner has been seen, South Dakota. She sits down with the different members of the community to get their take on what happened when they ran into the Hulk. The first person, the cop, says that he's got a story for her. They just got a call about a crime in progress at the old church at Mercer Avenue. What they didn't expect, though, was Hotshot, the human ray gun. Hotshot disarmed them and they needed themselves a real hero to handle things. Next up was the bartender. He recalled an event when Bruce came into his bar. He looked out of place, clothes didn't fit, he had the look of a serial killer. He got angry about something, and then when he saw something going on at Mercer Avenue on TV, he grabbed a knife. Obviously, he was like, whoa! And then he ran out the door. The next person was an old lady. Her view of things were a little, well, different than what others saw. She was at a church when Hotshot came in. When he burst in, he shouted that his love was dying. The priest said that he needed to turn himself in, and then he yelled that nobody understands love. The boy really did look like James Dean, though. Finally, Jackie visits the priest to get his side of the story. Unlike what the old woman said, he could somewhat understand what Hotshot was saying when he broke into the church. He was clearly upset, stating that the devil was inside of his girlfriend. Something about something underneath below everything got into her and they needed an exorcism or something. He then went back to it, stating something about a door below, a green door below. What does it even mean? The cops arrived, stating that they would get someone to negotiate, but at that point, Hotshot started to lose it. He asked God for salvation. The answer he sent, well, it was big, it was green, and it was angry. The old woman goes on stating that it was horrible. The giant beast came in and broke the hands of that handsome young man. The cop continues the story, stating that after the Hulk literally disarmed Hotshot, Hotshot still had more tricks up his sleeve. The priest said, oh God, he couldn't look away. He could see right through him. His chest was ripped wide open. They all waited for him to fall, but instead the hole just regrew itself, and the look on his face. The boy said what everyone was thinking. It's you. You're the shadow. You're the one below the devil himself. The cop laughs, asking, you know what the big guy said? The Hulk said, you're damn right. And he clobbered him good. The next part, well,
it's gonna be real. It's real.
The next part wasn't so fun. The priest says that he and the officer went to the motel where the boy was staying. He saw the body.
Going on in your life, Viper?
When they went in. It was a peaceful smile. Green door was written on the wall. He wasn't able to pray since that day. What does that mean? Lastly, the old woman finishes her story, stating that she went to visit the young man and he said that it wasn't him who killed her. He did tie her to the chair because her power was out of control. He would never. She was alive when he left. He loved her. I just gotta believe him. As it turned out, the young man found a way to hang himself in his cell. Such a tragedy. Ah, well, T. Jackie sighs as she sits back in her chair, asking what is she supposed to do with all
did not
this.
expect that.
3 people with 3 stories, all of them the same story, though. They just have different perspectives as to what happened, and at the center of it all, the Hulk. She receives a call from an unknown number. She picks it up, and the voice on the other line states is this Jacqueline McGee from the Arizona Herald. She asks, who is it? The man says Walter Lakowski. He works for Alpha Flight, the International Space Team, or he did. Anyway, he's been reading her recent articles, and it would seem that she's the only person actively looking for Bruce Banner, apart from him, that is. Why? Well, Bruce is an old college buddy of his. He wants him to know. If they're being totally honest here, he could use her particular expertise. Right, exactly. There's something that he wants her to take a look at. Several days later at a bus station in South Dakota, Jackie McGee sits telling her boss no, they cannot change the pricing. They were the ones who broke the story. Now everyone's sniffing green blood in the air. If they want to stay in the race, it's not enough to just chase Banner. They need him. No, this has nothing to do with what happened back then. Look, if they can't get Banner, the next best thing is his college roommate. Just then Walter walks up with a suitcase stating, hi, I'm Walter Warren, Sasquatch if you prefer. Carried in his own Harry Alpha Hulk turned space diplomat. And Bruce Banner's college roommate. Pleasure to meet you all. Jackie gets up shaking Walter's hand, stating that she's sorry. She was just speaking to her editor, and there was a fresh Hulk sighting. Walter laughs, telling her, I guess we're going to be doing this on the move. What do you want to know first? As the two jump in the car, Jackie asks how about they start with how Walter and Bruce Banner met. Walter tells her, well,
pretty good progress.
He's at Penn State. Bruce transferred there for a semester since they have lab facilities that the Desert State didn't have. Jackie asks, Gamma facilities? And Walter laughs, yeah. Even back then, Bruce is all about that thing. Bruce needed a research assistant, and There I was, a football scholarship and a head for physics. We got along like a house on fire. Sure, we had some disagreements every once in a while, but his mother died and his father was in an institute, so he held a lot in. One day he even gave all of his clothes to Goodwill and bought 10 identical suits like Einstein did. Never understood why they were purple pants, though. Well, time passed and eventually it happened. Bruce had done it. The atomic scientist had become the Hulk. That's when things began to get serious. Long story short, I quit football and I made it my mission to duplicate what Bruce did. Ever been hit by a gamma bomb? It's a real trip. Jackie asks, a trip, huh? And then remembers back to when she was a little girl and her father told her not to look. Do not look him in the eye. Except she did. Walter then says that he knows that look in her eye, and that's why he did what he did. The thinking was that his Hulk could counter Bruce's Hulk. Bruce had brains and no strength, where he had strength and not so much brains. It was supposed to be a deterrent for Canada. For the world, really. But his personality would remain in control. But she couldn't tell he's a pretty laid-back guy, not prone to anger. He went north to do some testing, and the controlled gamma bombardment did something they didn't expect. Something outside conventional science. It opened some kind of door. A world of beasts and demons. One of them got into him. Tanarak. It was a long time ago, and Tanarak's dead, and I'm in control of Sasquatch now, really. A few moments later, the two pull up to the scene of a 3-car pileup, and Walter says, it looks like the Hulk School of Vehicle Maintenance showed up. Jackie begins to take pictures, stating, okay, we gotta look for a bar. Bruce is always getting his information from bars. A short while later, Jackie holds up a photo of Bruce, and the waitress says, yeah, that's him. Asking all sorts of questions about Noah Swanson. Jackie says she spoke with one of the officers and Noah was a meth dealer. It's his van out there mashed up with all his cars, isn't it? As Jackie interviews the waitress, a fight then begins to break out with 2 of the bar patrons. Walter hurries over to separate the 2 of them, asking what's going on. What's got them all riled up on such a nice day? The man with the bandage on his nose says, him. He knows all about it. Walter turns and asks the second man what he's talking about. But while Walter is looking in the other direction, the man with the bandage pulls out a knife and he stabs Walter in the back. Walter falls to the ground and the man with the bandage shouts that he didn't mean to. The second man yells that they gotta go, they just killed the man. And later in the hospital, Jackie gives the detective the details as to what happened. The detective jots down her statement and asks if she can remember anything else, be sure to call them. And if she does find Bruce Banner, they would like to talk to him as well. The detective walks off with Jackie's side, stating, yeah, she would too. Just then a man sits down next to her, stating, good timing then, here I am. What happened to Walter? Jackie sits right up in her seat, not making eye contact with Bruce Banner. She says that Walter's in surgery. He was stabbed while they were looking for him. What are you doing here, Mr. Banner?
What is
Bruce
this?
tells her that he followed a hunch. All humans emit radiation. Simple biophonics, really. Barely measurable. But the gamma affected.
Well,
they have
it looked
unique
like it
signatures. Walter's is just like his. Jackie asks, so you can sense him? And Bruce says, no, but he can. Inside the operating room, the doctor stops working and says that he's going to call it time of, oh my God. Walter's body begins to change into Sasquatch, and Bruce tells her, it's nighttime now, and nighttime is his time. You need to evacuate the hospital now. The doctors all huddled together, stating, oh God, above. The Sasquatch stops them, stating, God above? No, quite the reverse. Jackie says, wait a minute, I got questions for you. You owe me. Bruce tells her, yeah, I owe a lot of people, something from stolen pants to ruined lives. Where you fall on that spectrum will have to wait. Yeah, what are you going to do? Tell people to run from a man who's risen from the dead? Why would anyone believe you? Just then screaming can be heard from the operating room, and Bruce tells her, you're a reporter. It's your job to make people believe you. Besides, screaming will probably help. He pushes open the doors to the operating room and says, hello, Walter.
Look at that.
Sasquatch
Another dungeon
lifts the blood
down.
from his claws and he looks back.
I like it.
Not Walter. He swipes, cutting Bruce's throat, telling him, and I would rather talk to the real you. Bruce falls to the ground with Sasquatch asking, it hurts to die, doesn't it? Bruce coughs up blood, telling him, oh, But as the Hulk comes out, he says, you heard Banner. I take it personally. He jumps up, punching Sasquatch, telling him, you're not Lekowski. That fits. Lekowski's a creep. Smug little know-it-all. The Hulk throws Sasquatch through a wall, finishing, but Lekowski never had 3 murders in him. You're something else, aren't you? See, nobody's ever loved Walt for his mind. They only wanted the jock. He only feels needed when he's a furry. Stays that way for months. Am I getting warm? Sasquatch thrusts his claws into the Hulk's chest, telling him, very clever, little monster. Hulk pulls out Sasquatch's arm, telling him, Lekowski stayed Sasquatch too long. Left the door open and you got in through a green door. You got into Hotshot's girlfriend too, didn't you? What was that about? Why did you want my attention? What are you? Tesseract, a Mephisto, something worse? Who's in there? Sasquatch laughs, telling him, look in the mirror behind you. Hulk starts to look back, stating, real original. And when he looks, he sees himself holding Brian Banner, Bruce Banner's father. Hulk pauses and says, Daddy? Brian lashes out at the Hulk, telling him, don't you remember? You've known what would happen since the beginning. Those brilliant intuitive leaps from the day you were born, it was you. The monster inside. I should have killed you while you slept in the crib. Sasquatch slams Hulk into a wall and Hulk tells him, it's not him. It can't be. And Brian tells him, you see the ghosts and smell eyes, don't you? You'd know if it wasn't true. I'm the father that Bruce killed. Back through the green door. Back from death. Brian jabs his claws into the Hulk's stomach, asking, how does it feel? That's the proof. Who else would hurt you like this? Who else would make the monster scared? Hulk shouts, no, never! And he kicks Brian in the face. Hulk gets up, telling him, you're just a man who killed his wife and tried to kill his son. You scare Banner. You think that gives you power over me? You think that makes you special? Not special. Puny human. Hulk punches Brian through a wall, yelling, you're nothing. Any power you have, someone gave you. Who brought you back? Who opened the door? Tell me or I'll smash. Brian starts to get up, stating that it needs a host personality to work in this world. It burrows in, wears our souls like masks on a stage. Help me. Hulk shouts, asking, what does that mean? What's behind you? Hulk punches again and Brian catches the hit, telling him, every light casts a shadow. Every mirror there is a reflection. As above, as below. He stabs his claws into the Hulk's eyes, telling him, take a look. You'll see darker shadows than your own. He continues ripping into the Hulk, asking, how many do you have to? And then he stops and he feels something shoot into his arm. He looks back to see a security officer with a taser and says, well boy, there's one more. He whips his arm back, tearing through the security guard, telling Jackie, remember this, it's the monster's fault. He holds his arms up to swipe at Jackie, but the Hulk grabs him, stating, Gamma. Gamma is what made Lekowski what he is. Keeps the green door open, doesn't it? But the difference between me and you, I eat Gamma. Hulk grabs onto his body, absorbing all of the Gamma radiation until Sasquatch begins to revert into Walter. As Jackie helps lay Walter out, Hulk says that he just took all of Lekowski's radiation. No more Sasquatch, no more Dad, or whatever that was. She checks his pulse and says that the Hulk saved him. The Hulk rubs his eyes, telling her, shut up. You're with the local paper and you drove over how many states and you can't even look Banner in the face? Yeah, I noticed. Whatever this is to you, whatever he owes you, it's personal. The truth now. She looks back, stating that when she was 15, the Hulk destroyed her home, her neighborhood. They said to never look him in the eye, but she did. And she has questions. He stares for a moment in silence and tells her, fine, one question, make it quick. She gets up, asking her one question. How does she do it? How does she get to be what he is? He stares back for a few seconds and then turns, telling her, just go home. As he leaves the hospital, he looks at his reflection in the car window, and what he sees is Brian Banner. Now he sits at the edge of his motel bed, and he thinks back to the first time that he died. He couldn't stop screaming, so he got back up. Something inside him was unlocked, a dark opposite, a shadow self. The person was stronger than him, stronger than anyone really, even too strong for death to claim. The thing is, Bruce Banner can die, but only during the day. The problem is, when night comes, he drags him back. Bruce stares at the mirror, watching the Hulk beat against the glass, trying to break out as he drinks his coffee, thinking, well, that's new. It's been 2 days since the fight with Walter, and he hasn't dared to let him out since. Hulk defeated Sasquatch, draining Walter's gamma radiation, but he's been starting to suspect that something else came with that. He needs to talk to the Hulk, but he can't just let him free. So now it's probably time to try something new. Bruce grabs a piece of paper and a pen, and he closes his eyes, emptying his mind, letting the pen move on its own. Bruce's hand slowly begins to scribble down something, and when his hand comes to a stop, he opens up his eyes. He reads the word home, and he asks the Hulk, what does that even mean? Where's home? Meanwhile, in California, Betty Ross watches the news as the reporter explains that social media has been abuzz with its latest sighting of the Hulk. She turns the TV off, wiping away the tears, stating, "Just stop. Her husband isn't back from the dead. If he was, why wouldn't he have let her know? That Hulk can't be Bruce Banner." But elsewhere at an undisclosed location, a group of monitors watch all people, living or dead, that Bruce has ever sought out to for help. One of the guys monitoring states that this is kind of creepy. This one just isn't a civilian. It's General Ross's daughter, the boss of our boss. It feels like, but the voice of General 14 tells the group of monitors that everyone on the screens in front of them is not civilians. They are not friendlies. They've all given aid and comfort to the Hulk before, and that makes them an enemy. As you were. As 14 closes the door, Dr. Clive sips his drink, asking, would Ross mind if he knew? 14 tells him that it is not Ross's business to know. The general was too close to Banner, and right now, he understands that. But it is best for Ross to focus on Steve Rogers' situation and leave the Hulk operations to a trusted second-in-command such as himself. As the two walk into the next room, a giant test tube glows green as Del Fry's body floats in it. And Clive asks how's their little buddy today. Clive's assistant Charlene says that it's been the same since they dug him out of that grave. His pain receptors are still off the charts. He's in agony. If they would just make some adjustments to the tank, they could possibly reduce them, eliminate them even. Clive takes another drink, stating, yeah, except recalibrating the system would take days. And what would that get them? Forget his little fee-fees. Where are they at on replicating him? Another tech, Jay, says, not much. They're pretty sure that what caused this in his blood, some kind of gamma serum. Well, it's like cracking a code in a dead language. Clive sips more of his drink, telling 14, see, we can't make progress without an actual Hulk, but not just the Hulk, a Hulk. Like Cho or Walters. People might actually miss them. 14 thinks for a second and then he asks, what about Sasquatch? A short while later up at the Alpha Flight space station, Walters sits up from his bed as Carol walks in, stating that she just got off the phone with General 14. He's currently in charge of the US Hulk operations, ex-USAF like her, and he played that card a lot, building up a rapport. He's a very charming man who very charmingly threatened him with legal injection, after extradition and trial, of course. For what it's worth, he was very apologetic. He'd love to make it all go away. Pip scoffs. He bets. But what does he get in return? Carol says that's the thing. If her team secures Banner for the proper authorities, Walter's exonerated. If I say no, they're gonna take him. Shaman then asks how are they supposed to defeat the Hulk? Carol tells him not this team, her other team. Back on Earth, Bruce walks down the road thinking, we really are going home. My home, that is. It makes perfect sense. We're going to the place where I'm the strongest to defeat whatever it is that's inside of us. As Bruce holds out his thumb at a passing car, he realizes that the light coming towards him isn't a car. Bruce looks up to see Carol and he says, hello, always a pleasure, or this business. The Avengers have been very good at leaving me alone since I came back. Carol stares, stating that the Hulk helped save the world. It earned him some rope, but this is a very different set of Avengers. If she's being honest, the rope's about to run out. As other members of the Avengers appear, Jennifer looks at Bruce rather disappointed as she starts to change into the She-Hulk, stating, you're disappointed? I almost died. I was in a coma, and when I woke up, I found out that you killed yourself. You knew what that would do to me. You forced my friend, had to guilt Clint Barton into doing it. You knew what that would do to. Thor grabs Jennifer by the shoulder, telling her, control yourself. Jennifer says the Hulk knows. She knows. Carol places her hands on her hips, stating that they're not here to hurt him, but he's gonna come with them. And Bruce asks, right now? You sure about that? The sun is down. Carol tells him yes, they know about his patterns. Every sighting has been the same. The night is his time. And in order to set the Hulk free, Bruce Banner has to die. Bruce grits his teeth, stating, that's my secret. I'm already dead. As soon as Bruce finishes, his body begins to change and it begins to grow. The Hulk lunges forward, cracking Thor across the face with enough force to knock a tooth out of the mouth of a god. Thor stumbles back, stating, by Odin. And Hulk tells him, Daddy can't help you now. Captain America leaps in front of Thor, protecting him from another hit, but the Hulk punches the shield, stating, look, it's Captain Hydra. If I rip your head off, are two more gonna come out? Captain America struggles, holding the Hulk back, stating that wasn't him. Black Panther leaps onto the Hulk's shoulders, telling him, perhaps this will bring you to your senses. And he shocks the Hulk in the head. Iron Man readies the Hulkbuster suit, stating, let's hope. If not, I got a big gun parked about 10,000 feet away. Black Panther leaps off as Iron Man fires into the Hulk, yelling, some weapons should be a last resort, and Code Helios is one of them. Captain America helps Thor to his feet, asking if he's okay. He's never seen him get hit that hard. Thor slowly struggles to get up, stating, he's stronger than he was, vastly so. I've seen the naked men of souls, smell the lies of their hearts. truths, hidden even from themselves. Captain America says, "You might have a concussion, you're rambling a lot. Lies don't have a smell." And Thor asks, "Are you sure? You live in the mortal world, one of science and law. Where I come from, I live in a world of legend and symbol, the world of the gods. What I'm suggesting is that in its rage, its pain, in the shadow of its Armageddon, your mortal world may have produced something very close to a god, or a devil perhaps." The Hulk laughs. "Ha ha ha! Devil Hulk works for me." The Hulk then thrusts both of his hands into the Hulkbuster suit, stunning it, and the computer inside tells Iron Man that he needs to eject. The Hulk rips the arms off of the suit and continues to beat on it, trapping Iron Man inside. Black Panther tries to pry open the suit, shouting, "That is enough! Iron Man will die unless we get him out of there. This man is my friend." Hulk asks, "Friend?" And then he takes the Hulkbuster suit, smacking Black Panther with it. Iron Man yells that he needs to use the manual release, and he shoots off into the sky holding the helmet of the Hulkbuster. As he goes up higher, he tells everyone that he's unlocking the big gun. But Carol yells that there are civilians down there. He tells her that the civilians are going to be out of the area thanks to Alpha Flight transports, right? And Carol tells him, "Maybe so, but these are the homes of hundreds of people, Tony." Captain America radios in stating, "I'm with Carol with this one. Let's leave Code Helios until we're out of options. We still have one last chance." Just then Jennifer transforms, charging in, punching the Hulk, yelling, "Hulk smash! Bruce hurt Jen, hurt his friends, so now? Hulk catches the punch, getting up, telling her, "You're mad, and the madder you get, right? Funny how that works. I was everything Banner wanted to hide, everything he wanted to pretend he wasn't. You were everything Walters wanted to show the world. Only now the line between us is harder to see, ain't it? What do you think, Hulk?" Hulk's smile widens and She-Hulk yells, "No, Hulk is not! I'm not like you!" Hulk laughs, "Huh. Gotcha." Then there's a booming wham as She-Hulk is knocked across the small town, and Iron Man radios in stating, "He'll kill someone soon, Carol. I swear to God that's how this ends." Carol states that there are no life signs in range, but Iron Man, this isn't. He tells her, "It's settled. Cross your fingers because we only got one shot at this." Carol calls out over the comms, "Don't do it!" And Iron Man tells her, "We have no choice. Systems green, firing the Helios laser." As he hits the switch, the giant floating laser begins to charge, and then it fires a cloud-piercing blast from the sky. A short while later, as the dust begins to settle, Captain America looks down at the charred remains of Bruce Banner, telling Black Panther that this isn't right. He only hoped that it didn't hurt too much. Iron Man's projection tells him that it most definitely did. The Helios laser was laced with UV radiation. Effectively, it was a beam of hard sunlight. It was the only thing that we had on hand that could hurt this new Devil Hulk. Captain America says not to call him that. That wasn't the devil. That was my friend, and you killed him. Black Panther then says that this is only a temporary measure. Bruce Banner may not be dead, but I suspect that without these UV drones, the Hulk will rise again. Ghost Rider and his vehicle are healed, but Thor's fractured skull will need further treatment. As for Jennifer, she's alive and relatively uninjured. But she won't say what it was that the Hulk said to her. Iron Man adds, "Let's not forget, he almost killed me." Black Panther turns away, stating that without the Helios weapon, without this sacrifice, they'd be buried by their own dead tonight. My conscience remains clear. Captain America looks back at Bruce's body, stating, "That's good for you, Your Highness. We got another problem anyway. We beat him. We've got him. Now what do? Later inside of Dr. Clive's lab, Dr. Clive asks, what could be done? There were protocols. Even the Avengers can't fight City Hall. So Ross handed you to Secretary Ross, having delegated command of the Hulk operations, passed you straight onto us. We made you nice and comfy in time for the next sunset. Welcome to Shadow Base, Banner. I want you to think of what's coming as a little poetic vengeance. You've caused a lot of people a lot of pain over the years, and now it's our turn. As Hulk's floating head in a jar listens, he tries to yell, but without his lungs, his screams go unheard. Dr. Jeff Clive's team of scientists take the responsibility of dissecting the world's strongest hero very seriously. A $7 million hydraulic arm using adamantium scalpels are carefully cutting into the Hulk's flesh, and that's just for his heart. There's something very interesting about the Hulk's body that Dr. Clive and his team are finding out. Even though the Hulk is dead and cut into many pieces, his body can still put itself back together. It is now Clive's job to understand the science as to why that is even happening. He looks to his team asking if anyone has any ideas, and then he notices Hulk's head trying to talk. He spins back, telling the Hulk that he really should see this. He's just a giant head trying to talk with no air in his lungs. Science isn't his specialty, is it? One of the Hulk's severed hands curls into a fist and extends his middle finger. And Clive says that he's as charming as ever. He picks up the two halves of the Hulk's heart and he holds them together. And as they start to weave back together, Clive says, "See? Good as new." But now the question is, why isn't the rest of his body regenerated?
Probably shouldn't
why
touch
isn't
like
the separated parts just
body
replacing the old
parts with
ones?
your bare hands.
Meanwhile,
I think,
up at Alpha Flight Space Station,
ain't no
Carol
learned
Danvers
doctor,
looks out
so.
into the void of space, asking where did he go. Ross denies all knowledge. General 14, the man who requested the mission, cannot be found. Requests for information are misfiled. Washington contacts are fired or reassigned without rhyme or reason. So did the US government lose the Hulk or kidnap him? Walter says, well, if Banner's above ground, I could track his gamma signature, unless he can suddenly change it at will now. Carol tells him good, because as of now, you're back on active duty. You may not be Sasquatch anymore, but you are a noted gamma researcher. I'll be putting together a new task force, headed up by Dr. Lekowski, to locate said threat. Jackie then asks, does this new task force have a name? And Walter laughs. What else would we call it? The next day, back on Earth in Clive's lab, he sits in his chair telling 14 no. He doesn't think it's funny. Gamma flight is the last thing they need. They need to find a way to get Carol Danvers off their back, or no. Yes, he will proceed as ordered. Clive sighs, hanging up the phone, and his assistant asks what's wrong. Clive groans, stating that Danvers gave a press conference yesterday, shining a spotlight right on them. 14's response is to go dark and cut their ties. The assistant says, but it will take days for them to become operational again, and Clive tells her that he knows it's not what everyone wants to hear at the end of a long shift. Just go get the first ready for transport. He'll start prepping Red Dog just as soon as he figures out this jigsaw puzzle. As Clive looks back at the Hulk, well, he smiles. Clive then asks, does he think it's funny or something? His superhero buddies are making this difficult. Difficult for him. Everything they've done to him here, it's just the start. Next, they're gonna rip him apart, cell by cell, and then cut that smile right down to the bone. Maybe they'll pop each one of his eyes. How would he like that? Pop them like big old water balloons. The Hulk begins to laugh, and Clive shouts, what's so funny? We're experimenting on you. We're gonna turn you into a weapon. We will learn all of your secrets, how your heart beats, how your fingers move, all of it. We will find out exactly what you can do. Oh God. The Hulk's smile, it gets wider, and Clive asks, You let us do this to you, didn't you? You wanted us to test you, because if we know what you can do, then so do you. One of the Hulk's hands snaps its fingers, breaking the glass of all of the containers holding his parts together, and they all come crashing to the ground. As the Hulk's body begins to reattach itself, it grabs onto Clive's body, and it begins to form around him. He struggles to get free, yelling, please, I'm sorry, please don't, please. But the Hulk straightens his head on his neck as Clive's arm is absorbed, telling him, not sorry enough. You wanted science, a set of rules. For me,
just basically eat a guy.
See, science is the other one. When you hurt him, I take it personally. The Hulk punches his way through the walls and Earth, climbing back up to the world above. And as the sunlight touches his skin, his body begins to change back into a twisted pile of flesh. Bruce covers himself with Dr. Clive's coat and he begins to talk, all while hearing somebody laugh in the back of his mind. As the ringing of the shotgun fades into the distance, Bruce falls to the ground holding his stomach, stating, it hurts. And the Hulk tells Bruce, I bet it does. You knew this was too big of a risk. The landowner comes out asking, did you think you'd come here and steal my washing line? That was self-defense. Law's on my side, meth head. Bruce calls, I'm sorry. And the Hulk tells him, just remember, this is what happens when you don't listen to me. A short while later, the man in the suit tells the landowner that he appreciates him answering his questions. He was lucky to get out of that situation alive. And the landowner asks, lucky? That thing smashed everything that I owned. The man in the suit says, well, he let you live. Thanks again. The landowner asks, what are you talking about? And as the man in the suit holds out his hand, his fingers begin to mesh together to form a gun. And then, well, it goes off. As the landowner falls to the ground, the man in the suit radios in stating that this is Agent Burbank calling Shadowbase. Are we live? Is it secure? The operator tells him all clear, and Burbank says, piggybacking off the 911 call was a good idea. I got here well before the cops did. Hulk's sighting is confirmed. Gamma trail's leading in a very particular direction. Tell Red Dog that we know where he's going. He's going home. Miles ahead, the Hulk is making his way home, thinking maybe where he's going isn't home. He was always there when his father killed a parted Banner. Maybe he was always there. And this is the place where he took his first breath, where he made his mark. Los Diablos. The test site for the first Gamma bomb. The place of the Hulk's power. The place where he is the strongest. But he's here for a reason. Whatever got into Lukowski got into him. And it's wearing the face of Banner's father, the face that they hate. And for that, they need to be stronger. This is my ground, where I can win. I can smash him, that's the plan. Or is it? The Hulk looks in the window of the old guard tower, seeing Brian Banner's face, and says, "It was you. You're the one who put the idea of coming here into my head. This is where you get power, where I think I can get rid of you." The Hulk shouts, asking, "Do you really think you can get rid of me? Come out, Dad. Let's see it happen. Get out of my head and fight." He smashes the small tower into the ground, stating, "Nice try. Getting me mad? That might have worked on another Hulk, but not me. I'm in control. I'll find a way to get rid of you. I won't play your... Wait, what's that sound?" Just then, a red hulking man with a ball and chain lands, shouting, "Hulk, come on! It's time for us to get back in the ring!" The Hulk stares for a moment, thinking that he knows this man. His name is Carl Creel, the Absorbing Man, and he's had an upgrade. Carl yells, "Come on!" And Hulk asks him, "Is this my father playing another trick? Well, too bad. I'm the one in control now." The Hulk begins to run towards Carl, shouting, "I don't need this!" And Carl gets ready to swing his chain, telling him, "Yeah, you do." Carl lets go of the chain, sending the wrecking ball out, but as the Hulk dodges it, he punches Carl in the side. Hulk lets out a painful scream, looking at his hand, asking what just happened. "That hit hurt me, not Creel." Creel gets up laughing, asking, "Haha, ain't gonna be that easy for you, is it?" He throws his chains around the Hulk, and as the red gamma radiation covers the Hulk's body, his powers begin to fade. The Hulk grits his teeth, kicking Carl with what strength he has left, and as Carl's body flies away, the Hulk gets a glimpse of himself in a shard of glass. Creel was draining him of his power, the same way that he drained Lukowski. He gets up, his loose skin hanging off his bone, groaning. "All right, round two." Inside Carl's mind, though, he looks around as the world begins to break, asking, "What's going on?" A giant head tells him, "You cannot see what we are. You're speaking to a mask. Your body above is a useful one, but your mind is here below it all. You have had many chances to walk away from this, but there's no changing fate. You're a creature of sin, the oldest kind. Pride, and it's a killer." Back in the real world, Hulk watches as Carl's body splits in half, leaving a shambled body with his spine and skull staring right back at the Hulk. Inside his mind, Carl cries, "I'm sorry." But all Hulk can hear is a gurgled silently. The Hulk gets up, telling him, "Not yet, but you're gonna be." Off in the distance, Agent Burbank watches through the scope of his rifle, stating that they're not gonna believe this, but they need to patch into his visual feed now. 14 asks what's going on. Burbank says whatever the Absorbing Man's body absorbed, it's doing something weird to itself. It should be dead, but he's not. Is he winning? Carl flings his arms forward to drain more radiation out of the Hulk. "Sorry." And the Hulk shouts back, "Nobody cares. We can both absorb gamma, so I can take it right back. You won't be getting any more out of me." Carl punches into the Hulk, and his eyes glow green, yelling, "Now I'm gonna take it back." He reaches out, grabbing the base of Carl Creel's spine, ripping it out, asking, "Does that hurt? Well, here's your ball and chain." He takes the spine and the skull, swinging it around into Carl's body, shattering it into a million pieces. Just then, a light shines down on the Hulk, and from their airship, Walter Lukowski says, "Great, he's gotten towards someone in half." He calls out over a speaker, "Hey, this is Walter." And the Hulk calls back, asking, "What do you want?" Walter tells him, "Well, we don't want any trouble, but we do have weapons locked onto you, so..." Before the Hulk can answer, he's shot in the eye by Burbank, and Walter yells, "Just so you know, that wasn't us." The Hulk grabs onto Walter's ship, shouting, "Hulk, smash!" And he throws the small ship into the ground. The Hulk begins to rub his eyes as growing back, asking, "Where's Creel going?" But then it hits him. The green door. He yells out to Carl, telling him, "I know what you want." But Puck appears before him, telling him, Yeah. We know what you want. A couple of spare vertebrae, right? Hulk tells him, don't do it. And Puck pulls the trigger on his gun, firing a hole right through the Hulk's chest. He falls to his knees, telling Puck, you need to stop him. And Puck says, sure, you just gotta stay down, right? As Creel reaches the blast site, Hulk reaches out, crushing Puck's gun, telling him, it's the Gamma. Creel is going after the rest. When the bomb went off, it opened up a door, a green door, but it didn't open all the way. If Creel absorbs the last bit of Gamma in the soil, he'll be able to tear open that door. Jackie pulls herself out of the wreckage of the ship, asking, what's gonna happen when he does? But as she says that, a blinding green light shines as the door is opened, and that green begins to turn to red. The Hulk watches with Jackie asking, the hell's going on? And the Hulk tells her, we're too late. The door is open, and as for where we are, isn't it obvious? We're where we've always been, where everyone's always been. After you enter that door, well, welcome to hell. With everything around them turning to ruin, the Hulk walks, stating, how do you get to be what you are? Jackie asks, really? That's what he wants to talk about after all of this? She just watched a man die when she asked him that. She wasn't exactly thinking straight. The Hulk laughs, telling her, that's when the truth comes out. You want the first to be obsessed because I broke your house. It happens. But you would be the first to climb into some Gamma machine, imagining what it would be like to be me. Jackie pauses for a moment and says, no. She can't imagine it. What it must feel like to feel that rage.
All right, one more
to
card
be able
left.
to feel that rage. To be allowed to feel that rage. After everything that he's done, all of the towns that he has destroyed, the people that he has killed, though not many, but still 6 months later, he's on the Avengers. All is forgiven. He was shot into space so that he could live in peace. Your anger is indulged, respected even. Hers, it's dismissed, if she's lucky. So yeah, that is what she's been thinking. How does she get her piece of that pie? How does she get to be what he is? The Hulk looks back and tells her, that's good. Now you talk about anger like it's something that needs to be let out, like it's useful, like it can get things done. You aren't looking away from it or calling it another name. You're not ashamed of it. Now the question is, if you could step into a Gamma machine, would you? Jackie tells him, of course. Who wouldn't? But just then, the two of them hear a voice from behind them stating, what's it like, Doc? Being the Hulk? I'll bet it was a gas. Hulk spins around hearing a familiar voice, but what he sees is the hollowed out version of Rick Jones, and he asks him, is it really you?
That's not
Meanwhile, Creel says over and over that he's sorry. He let this happen because of his stupid pride. He let this in. A hand reaches down to help him up, telling him to trust him when he says that evil has always been in. Creel starts getting up asking who is he, and Puck tells him Eugene Judd, codename Puck. Sometimes it's from Shakespeare, sometimes it's a hockey joke. But they can't really get too comfortable here. There's a little bit of everything happening right now. Science, magic, all of that stuff. You may have opened the door, but you're also gonna help close it. Back across the way, Rick says, golly, Doc, you're in real bad shape. Jackie asks, didn't Rick Jones die? And Hulk tells her, he did. So Rick asks him, what are you gonna do? Hulk pokes his finger into the empty eye sockets of Rick Jones, stating, you're just a skin repeating old lines. And another voice then calls out, stating, baby girl, don't look me in the eye. Jackie looks back, stating, oh God, and Hulk says that he's gonna have to take a guess and state that that's the late Mr. Gee. Jackie runs over, stating that they need to get him out of here. But the Hulk grabs her, telling her to just leave him. Jackie shakes the Hulk off, stating, no, you can't just leave him here, we need to. He died because of you. My father died from the stress of trying to put our lives back together after you destroyed it. He worked himself to death. What do you know about that? Who cares about him that much? The Hulk looks up, pointing. There's that guy.
Hell.
Thunderbolt Ross walks up, telling them, milksop, got no guts. Hulk tells him, yeah,
damn.
Banner's father-in-law cared. Maybe not in the way that you think, but that can't be right. He's not dead, is he? Ross's body begins to change into the Red Hulk, and Hulk tells Jackie, yeah, that's how much Ross cared. Cared enough to make sure that he would kill me. You might want to step back. The Red Hulk charges forward, punching Hulk in the face, and then he throws another with the Hulk catching it, stating, "That was a nice punch from a hollow man." Red Hulk keeps swinging with Hulk asking, "What happened? Did you die and it actually stuck this time? You could have been a better father to Banner, but you just couldn't leave it be. You couldn't leave them alone." Hulk grabs Red Hulk by the face, stabbing his thumb into Red Hulk's eye, telling him, "You're dead now? Good, I'll kill you twice." Hulk takes another hand and drives the thumbs into the Red Hulk's eyes, pulling apart with what strength he has until Red Hulk's body is ripped to pieces. But he doesn't stop there. He keeps punching and panting, "Hulk, kill! Hulk, kill! Hulk, kill everything!" Watching down from the entrance of the green door is Brian Banner, and he asks, "You see? Just like I've always said, the Hulk is a monster. Believe me, son, you're better off without him." And maintaining the green door portal, keeping it open, is none other than Bruce Banner himself, separated from the Hulk, screaming in pain. But where did the hatred that Brian has for his son Bruce come from? Well, it all began when Bruce was born. Brian started to drink a lot. After one night of coming home and stepping on one of Bruce's toys, he made it perfectly clear. He hated him for what he did to his wife. The simple fact that he existed upset him. His mother was happier before he was born. Now he's just some little monster. Brian threw his drink at Bruce's toy building, telling him to put it away. And when Bruce looked for comfort from his mother told him to listen to his father. That was when Bruce started to feel the rage inside of him. He took the glass and used it to break down his toys, stating, "Smash, smash, smash!" The rage persisted on in the present form of the Hulk, as he beats the last little bit of flesh out of what was once Thunderbolt Ross. The Hulk punches the flabby remains of the Red Hulk's face, shouting, "Kill everything! Hulk, 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 smash!" Jackie runs over to him, telling him to stop. She's gonna need him to stop. "Okay, big guy?" The Hulk subtly snaps back to reality, stating, "Hulk hurts. All the time it hurts. Why? Why have the Hulk hurt so much?" Jackie tells him that she
this is
doesn't
the best
know.
kind of
She's
Hulk
sorry,
writing,
but the
when
Devil Hulk,
they,
can
delve
she
deep
speak to him?
into the
Can the
source
Savage
of
Hulk
his
let the Devil Hulk
pain.
out for her? Hulk
Banner's
stares for a
pain.
moment and then says, "Okay," and he begins to wipe away the tears. He clears his throat and he tells her, "Sorry. The big guy, he's mostly inside these days. But when he really loses it, well, you saw what happens." The Hulk calms down and Jackie says that she's got another question. How long has Devil Hulk been in charge? Banner has dissociative identity disorder. That's a known fact. The Hulk is just one of those personalities, but lately, Devil Hulk's the one who's been running the show, isn't he? Hulk tells her, "Someone had to, but not during the day. That's Banner's time." Jackie points to the sun, stating, "Oh yeah? So where is Banner now then?" Hulk looks over, stating, "I'm not sure, but I got a pretty strong hunch. It's over on that cliff." Up on the cliff, Brian tells Bruce, "You understand, right? I was still a young man, and your mother, well, she once loved me dearly. Growing up with your grandfather in a house, I knew I was unworthy of her love, and that's why I never wanted children. But as time went on, I was loved. I was respected. A rising star in the field of radiation research. Gamma radiation. Back then, things were simple. Gamma radiation behaved unpredictably. Surely there was a secret as to why it did those things. One night, after staying out late, I closed my eyes, and that's when I saw it. There was something out there searching for me. There was a grotesque presence looking back at me through the crack of the door. A nightmare cellar world underneath the floorboards of everything. I had seen his terrible eye, and nothing could ever be the same. Later that night, after coming home, that's when Rebecca told me that she was pregnant. The birth was difficult, and your mother nearly died, but it didn't matter anymore. The love for me had been replaced. And it was all your fault. And you killed me in cold blood." As Brian begins to get mad, he stops himself, saying, "No, it wasn't you. It was that monster who cast me into this hell. But things changed after the bomb. You opened up the green door, and thus you set me free. The sun's risen. High noon in hell. He's coming." Just then a giant mass begins to take shape, reaching out to Bruce Banner. Jackie watches, stating, "It's late. That thing. Who can fight that? It's the end." And the Hulk scoffs, "Oh, that creep? He's not the end of the world." Jackie asks, "How do you know?" And the Hulk looks back smiling, "Because that's who I am." creatures begin to pour out of the giant green mask, and the Hulk asks, "Did you hear him? I'm the Hulk, and this is my house." He begins to fight back against the creatures, but as more and more come, he hears Rick Jones telling him, "Cool it, mister." Rick then begins to change forms to help the Hulk, but also on the cliff, Puck and Creel get into position. Puck tells him, "You know what you need to do, right?" And Creel tells him, "Yeah." And he jumps onto the ledge. Brian looks back stating, "It's you." And Creel says, "I remember who you are, Mr. Mask. You let me absorb some of this rock and I'll be right over to talk to you. You're Banner's dad, right? I read up on you while on the joint. Dug up some stuff on Banner to give me that edge. But really, it's just a sad story. See, his old man used to beat him. Used to. Until he beat the ever-living crap out of him." Brian shouts asking, "You think you can beat me? Take your best shot." The fight below rages on as swarms of monsters slowly begin to overpower Rick and the Hulk. One monster begins to bite through Rick's body, reducing him to just strips of skin falling onto the ground. Back up top, Creel gets ready to attack, but then he stops, stating, "Actually, I'm not gonna fight you. I would lose, but I know a guy who doesn't." He takes out the Gamma Pillar, absorbing its power, rocketing off the cliff down to the only person that can help them, the Hulk. An explosion of gamma radiation lights up the area in a brilliant green glow, and from the center of it, the Hulk roars as he stands up with his newly found strength. He crushes one of the creatures, shouting to Brian, "Can you see me? What do you think, Dad?" Brian yells, "You are not my son, you never were. You are the son of one below all." The Hulk laughs, shouting, "I'm gonna try to find some secret meaning behind it all. The secret is, the Hulk is the Hulk." He claps his hands together, creating a shockwave, destroying parts of the cliff and the giant green mass, sending Brian flying off into the distance. As the echoes of the shockwave fade, Hulk looks down at Bruce's body, telling him, "That bought us a few minutes, maybe. But listen, Creel gave me the gamma back. I can close the door and I can bring us home. But if we're not together, we're not gonna live through it." Bruce tells him, "Good, let it happen. Finally, just let it happen." Hulk stares for a moment and then tells him, "Look, I know you had me locked away. I know how scary it is. But before any of the others, I was the one protecting
Brain is
you.
fucking
I'll
melting.
always protect you. Because even though you're a stupid kid, I love you." Bruce looks back and the Hulk looks away, telling him, "Someone had to. Come on, let's get going." Hulk takes Bruce's hand, and after a moment of hesitation, Bruce reaches out to grab the Hulk's hand. Later that night, at the home of Betty Banner Ross, her phone rings, waking her from a sleep. She gets out of bed, shuffles away to the phone, and picks it up, asking who's there. It's nearly midnight, and if they don't say something, she's going to hang up. Bruce's voice, in the real world, out of the green door hell, says, "Betty, I need to come home. I need to see you." Betty waits to process the voice and then asks, "Where are you calling from?" His third gravestone was at West Point. The first was a family plot in New Hampshire where the body had already been stolen. The second, well, that was Arlington. Body was also removed. Even though he was a traitor, he did die an ex-Avenger, a servant of the government and an established figure, pardoned and forgiven, worthy of a hero's grave, hence West Point. Betty wondered which one they really thought they were burying
thank
that
God.
day. The hero, the monster, or was Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross both? This is what she wondered when she saw her father, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, buried for the third time. Steve Rogers himself could not attend the service, but Tony Stark spoke in his place to speak for the costume. And when he was done with the eulogy, he asked if anyone else had anything they'd like to share. There was one man who came forward, Reginald 14. He told everyone that General Ross was like a father to him, just as he stared at Betty. He spoke that General Ross had taught him many things, how to carry oneself with authority, to have confidence in one's abilities, that you cannot give no quarter to the forces of chaos that would disrupt the status quo, that there would be no harboring them in our homes or in our hearts. As General Ross was placed into the ground, 14 was given the flag, and Betty mutters under her breath that they shouldn't have had it out in the rain like that. Tony asks, "Do you know him?" And Betty tells him that they've met. Tony then says that he knows that this is hard, but this whole business with Bruce, what happened in Iowa was a mess. If Bruce had just kept his head down, they could have worked it out. The Avengers aren't the bad guys here. Bruce can't keep running forever, even with the Hulk on his side. He needs to come in. Betty doesn't answer, and Tony offers her a ride to the airport. He got this plane that can turn into a robot, and she tells him, yeah, He's also a flying death ray that blew up a town. She'll fly coach. And she did. And when she got home, she already knew what was waiting for her. Bruce stands up from the stoop, stating that he's sorry about her father. He's also sorry that it took him so long to call her. For months, she thought that he was dead, like really dead. Months of sightings, false hopes, and grief. Part of her wanted to slap him, and another part knew better and kissed him. She whispered that they're not safe here, though, to which she was correct. While Bruce and Betty were having their long-awaited meeting, Agent Burbank is just across the way, lining up his sights. Burbank reports that he has the shot, but it's not a clear one. Permission to put one through Mrs. Banner's back and finish this.
Jesus.
14 tells him that that's a negative. They just buried her father today. The man meant a great deal to him. He will not send his daughter to join him unless he has to. Bruce and Betty head inside and Burbank switches to thermal, but reports that he can't tell which is which. 14 tells him to stand down. The sun's gone down but that's when there's a click as the trigger is pulled and there's a sklunch as the bullet slams into the side of Betty Banner's head. Burbank radios back that he has a problem. He hit the wrong one, but he can handle it. Swapping up for 1,000 call. Stand by. The Hulk screams as he charges at Burbank, and with one shot, Burbank blows up part of the Hulk's head. The Hulk slowly reaches out for Burbank, and just then, a voice tells Burbank, "At ease, soldier." Next a hand grabs him by the shoulder, tossing him back. The Hulk growls, and the man says that Betty called. Said that he might be in trouble. But if the Hulk could try and stay calm, they can get through this. Trust me, I'm your doctor. Now try and stay calm. There are many questions that need answering, and Doc Samson is being truthful, because there are questions as to how he even got there. He sacrificed himself in order to save Bruce once before, but then there was a green door that opened up, and the next thing that he knew, he was crawling out of a grave. Shields thought that it could be the leader again, but the test showed that Doc Samson was free of the leader's influence. They have no idea what the green door is. Fury looked over his file and